welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Once a week, all sports podcast that takes place every single Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame to his game because he's always the same.
That's me.
And with us here also, he finally determined to show up to work today. We've got the king of comments, the magnificent Son X. Son X, thank you for joining us.
It's X time. I would have been here yesterday, but I never received an invite.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know
Nice
what? Grumpy, as he was stammering about on our show yesterday, mentioned that you were looking at wedding venues, and who knows that it happened but didn't happen, and who knows. So we were given wrong information by the Grumpy Old Man.
Excuse me, X. Did you get an invitation from TJ yesterday?
No invitation.
Okay, no invitation. Thank you very much.
They call me invitationless. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
No invitation. Who's the one? Excuse me, X. Who's the one who sends out the invitations? Is it
TJ?
Is it the tyrannical one?
Actually, for X, he doesn't get an invitation sent because he is a co-host and moderator of the show. Therefore,
usually I get a message or a notification that says, "Hey, we're starting." Because they never start on time. So,
yeah,
I mean that's usually what happens.
Grumpy told me you're out of town in Charleston, but you were not. So,
and guess what? I actually watched the game too. Grumpy's
going to be too busy watching whatever game's on right now, Colorado against Vegas, so he'll be enjoying that.
And I thought you was going to say the Winnipeg game.
Winnipeg against Colorado. I'm sorry, that's the game he'll be watching tonight.
And what did you think of the Islanders' performance against the Hurricanes yesterday?
They have no shot in hell to beat them.
Okay, well, that's not this type of show, but let's go ahead and jump in, right? This is an all sports podcast that takes place every single Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk anything and everything sports, right? That's NHL, that's NBA, that's NFL, that's college athletics, that's world football, literally anything and everything sports. So if you like this content and you want to see more, make sure to do a few things here for us. Make sure, number one, to subscribe on YouTube so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. And make sure to hit the thumbs up button, right? If you hit the thumbs up button, it lets myself, the Grumpy Old Man, and Son X know that you like the content that we produce. And also, right, it apparently helps the algorithm. It gets this fun time of talking sports out to the masses. So make sure you do those two or a few things there. Today, right, a lot of talk about, as we alluded to, I guess, a little bit earlier on, NHL playoffs have officially begun. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about NBA playoffs have also begun. And guess what? We've got the NFL draft on Thursday. So there's quite a bit to tackle here for these episodes. And yeah, this is, I guess it's right. This is the fun portion of the season for sports. Even if there's not NFL football and college football going on, we still have the draft, and you've got the playoffs starting for both the NHL and, the NBA. So that's always entertaining.
Are we going to be doing our annual draft spectacular on Thursday night?
I'm sure not.
What? Why not?
You could do it with X if you want.
You're not doing the draft?
I don't know. I'll have to discuss. But I right now you could pencil me in as a no, a soft and tentative no on that.
You don't want to see Caleb Williams go number 1 overall?
The draft specials usually take 4+ hours. So yeah, I'm not sure you're going to have me roped in for 4+ hours after a day of work. Probably not this time.
Be you and me, X. Don't worry, we'll handle it.
Are we going to do a 4-hour long one?
Yes, X. That's how long the draft takes place.
Maybe we should just cover the first 10 or 15. Maybe we should just cover the first round.
Well, that's all we do is the first round.
X, that is the first round, X.
I know, but it's like we could do it after the draft and skip through the commercials.
Oh, yeah, that would work well. Okay, so X is already starting to flake on you. That's what it sounds like. You're going to put me down as a tentative no to do that on Thursday. It's just a big time commitment right now, so probably not. But right, let's talk a little about the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. And then we're going to jump into the NFL draft. We're going to be given the preview on the NFL draft, Grumpy. So fret not, Grumpy Old Man. NHL draft started, or NHL playoff started. Quite, I'd say, not surprising with what we've seen so far. I guess is the most apt way I can put it, Grumpy. Would you not say?
What was your question again? I'm sorry.
I guess there was no question. I just am leaving it open-ended. I think that, it's somewhat predictable the way things have started so far in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Boston kicking the shit out of Toronto, the Islanders losing to the Hurricanes, the Rangers kick the shit out of the Washington Capitals, right? I think the one wild card maybe is like the Florida Panthers against the Tampa Bay Lightning, right? But other than that, everything else so far has been somewhat as most would have predicted.
True. I mean,
I don't think the Islanders would win.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't pick them to beat the Hurricanes. Why? Because they never beat the Hurricanes. Matter of fact, they just might as well just call the Hurricanes their daddy.
That is true.
Because they just they take them the woodshed and give them a smackdown every single time they play them. Carolina's too good for the Islanders. There's only one playoff. In my opinion, there's only one playoff team that the Islanders are better than. That's Washington.
Washington's awful.
Washington is awful.
Now, here's the thing with Washington, right? Washington kind of got into the playoffs last day. They got in the last day with some very peculiar circumstances. Let me put it to you like that. That's the way you can characterize it. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, perfect. So we look at what happens, right? This was a play and, essentially win and you're in scenario for Washington. It was enthralling right down the stretch, right? Pittsburgh was eliminated with one game remaining. You had the Flyers, the Capitals, and the Red Wings essentially fighting over one spot. And, how crazy was it that you had them both matching up against each other? But, right, if in the scenario, if Washington wins, they were in. It's as simple as that. If the Red Wings won and Washington lost, the Red Wings make it in. The Flyers needed to beat Washington and to have the Red Wings lose in order to go ahead and make the postseason. So you look at the game, right? There's a few odd situations here, and I'll let you watch. Kind of funny when you look at the officiating crew that called this game too.
Situation room, but I don't think it went in directly into the air. I think it got hit after the fact, which I don't think there's anything they can do to fix the situation. But to me, Kelly Sutherland, he botched this one. I mean, he has no idea where the puck is. Well, see if it goes directly in once it lands on the ice. No, it goes off at Joel Farabee, but consider the fact that if the whistle doesn't blow, the puck hits Joel Farabee, and it would be in play. Charlie Lindgren has no idea where the puck is. This is a huge miss by the officials, and I don't think there's any recourse in this play that you can take it back. It's just an unfortunate mistake.
So that was early on in the game. That could have had maybe a little bit of a different outcome, perhaps. And when you look at it, man, oh man, the Flyers. It was a 1-1 tie at this point with 3 minutes remaining. The Flyers pulled their goalie with 3 minutes left remaining, not knowing that the Red Wings had already eliminated them from the playoff contention. So the pull of their goalie made absolutely no difference at that point, because up until this point, it was like 6 seconds remaining. Detroit came back down 4-3. They came back to tie the game with less than 6 seconds left, and then they won in overtime, eliminating the Flyers from the postseason. Flyers were unaware of this at the time period, and the Flyers pulled their goalie with 3 minutes remaining in their game, and then Washington proceeded to score an empty netter, eliminating the Red Wings. You can't make this shit up.
Yeah, well, that's why they play all those games at the same time. They should have been something updated on the scoreboard. I don't know why I mean, I can understand it's just bad timing, right? Let's be honest. It's bad timing. I mean, Washington is the least deserving playoff team that there is.
Correct. I mean, they had
–
out of any team that's made the postseason in the history of the NHL, they've had the worst goal differential. So they've conceded many more goals over an 82-game season than they have scored, yet they made the postseason with the worst goal differential.
Those teams don't go anywhere in the playoffs.
That is correct. That's correct. And now Ovechkin did have something to say at the end of the game. Detroit get a point, and they still pull the goalie. So if Detroit got a point, right, the Flyers were eliminated. They didn't know that, but we'll take it. Thanks, Philly. It's just God almighty. It's just, if things would have, transpired differently, man, oh man, how that could have made, right? Very easily. Hell with Detroit's in, maybe Washington's in, but Washington today looked like they did not belong. Wouldn't you agree?
They're horrible. And I didn't think the Rangers were anything extra special today, but Washington's just bad.
Yes.
Think about it. The teams that really needed to come out and win this weekend, and to me, it's the Capitals and the Islanders. The Hurricanes and the Rangers came out and kind of played kind of lackluster, and those teams still won. It just tells you how much better they are. I mean, even today, Florida beating Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Tampa Bay came back at the end, but Florida controlled the action of that game for the most time. Younger team, more speed. Tampa knows how to win. And, I mean, they win 3-2. They wound up getting a late goal to make it 3-2 after giving up an empty netter. To me, that's the only competitive series in the East for the first round. I don't think much of Toronto's chances against Boston.
My God.
Carolina is going to beat the Islanders, and the Rangers are going to beat the Capitals. So that's the one. That's the toughest. The toughest series is going to be Florida and Tampa. Like I said, Boston absolutely laid down the last 2 games of the year so that Florida could pass them because they wanted to play Toronto. They own Toronto. They own Toronto. Like the Hurricanes own the Islanders. The Bruins own the Maple Leafs.
Toronto has not beaten Boston in the playoffs since 1935, I believe it is.
No, 19. They haven't beaten them in 7-game series since 1959.
Either way, I'm sorry, miss a few years, but the point's still the same.
That's a long time ago. Let's just put it this way.
69 years. 69 years. There have been Toronto fans born and have died not seeing the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Boston Bruins in a series of 7 games.
Very true. Very true. I mean, and you look at, here's the thing. Toronto's, in my interpretation only, Toronto's too soft. And their goaltending is just bad. Gotta have good goaltending when it comes to playoff time. Cannot have bad. Poor goaltending is going to beat you more than anything else.
They're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, and they should dismantle the big 3. Absolutely, they should. I'm sorry. At this point, see you later. At this point, you need something different. You do. Okay. You just do. I don't give a shit. You need something different.
Who are you going to move?
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Put a name in a hat and figure out that way. At this point, you just need something different. You really do. Something drastic. How many more years in a row? Think about how long they've been a top tier team. They've only won 1 playoff round. 1 playoff round. They've won a playoff round in 20 plus years.
Marner needs to go.
No, not Marner.
Yes.
I don't care who goes. Somebody.
Yes.
One of the big 3. You're not going to get rid of Matthews.
Nope, we're not getting rid of Austin Matthews after he just put up 70 goals this year.
Grump, they're not. Tavares doesn't have that type of value.
But okay,
it's got to be Marner. You got to move Marner.
But he clears $11 million off the cap.
Okay, any of the big guys do, Grump.
Yeah, okay, but I'm not. If you're going to ask me who I'm trying to get rid of, it's going to be the guy who's 33 years old, not the guy who's 25 or 26 or 27. Those are not the guys I'm getting rid of.
What is that going to bring you back in return?
I don't care what it brings
Nothing.
back. It frees up some salary cap space. I'm not getting rid of the three best players on my team. I'm just not.
I didn't say the 3 best. I said one of the big 3.
I'm going to go for John Tavares. If you're asking me, I'll go hell and high water, give up John Tavares for a 7th round pick. I would do that.
Then you're still stuck in the same crapitude.
It frees up cap space for you. It frees up cap spaces, which is what they need.
So what are they going to do?
But again, who are you going to get as a replacement?
Well, you're going to have to be creative. You got to see what.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you were able to acquire draft capital and use that draft capital to flip it and trade for Jeremy Swayman, because the rumor is Boston wants to trade Swayman and not Linus Ullmark. What happens if you're able to trade away some draft capital and bring in a legitimate goalie? Doesn't matter whether it's Nylander, Marner, right? You ideally don't want to trade Matthews. He's by far the best player on that team, and it's not even close for second. So Nylander and Marner, less than Matthews. You're able to get a bona fide number 1 goalie, and then maybe you can piece together a few parts too.
Well, you're saying trade one of those 3 guys to Boston for Swayman?
No, Grumpy. I'm saying to acquire assets so you can trade and package up to get a guy like Swayman and get additional pieces that you need.
Okay, I'm moving Tavares. I'm not moving one of the three. You first of all, you're not going to get a value for one of the three young guys. You're just not going to get commensurate value. I'd move the guy who's not going to be. Here's the thing. What I would do, I'd move the guy who's not going to be part of the team within the next year or two because he just can't hack it anymore and his contract's up. That's the guy I try to move. I'm not trying to move. I'm absolutely not looking to move guys that I have locked up for 7-8 years on contracts. I'm not doing that.
Sounds like you want to commit to a little tweak instead of a big move.
Moving John Tavares is a big move.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. That's correct.
How do you figure? He makes $11.5 million. It means you can do anything else.
Moving one top 6 guy and maybe getting a little bit back in return in the form of a trade is not a big move. Just
but it frees up salary cap space, and you can make other trades. You have money to make deals. You could sign a Jay Gensel potentially.
They don't need another forward, Grump. They need a goalie.
Well,
just addressed that. What's the biggest issue for them? Toughness and goalie. They don't need another skilled guy that's going to shrivel in the postseason and not show up.
I just gave you a potential. Jay Gensel is a tried and true playoff performer.
Who do you think would trade for Tavares, though, Grump?
I think he'd have a limited. Here's the thing. I think you can move him, but I think his value is limited. You're not going to get a whole lot back, but it frees up money for you. Then you could go out and sign a couple of physical defensemen or trade for a goaltender. Yes, they need to change things in Toronto. I 100% agree. But you're not trading Marner, Nylander, or Matthews. Those are guys that they're untouchable to me.
Marner gets the boot, in my opinion.
Guess what? If it's able to get you a guy, a bona fide number 1 goalie like Jeremy Swayman, that's a cornerstone piece of your team for years to come. And then you might even still have enough cap to bring in enough to defend her. Who knows? Whatever they're doing, they need something drastic. The trade market for John Tavares is limited at best. He's an older center or older forward now at this point that doesn't skate well, that goes through stretches where he's invisible. His best years are well behind him at this point. And that's just the nature of the game. Was he 34, 35 years old?
I 100% agree with that. There's no denying it. But if you're looking at John Tavares, okay, he's got one more year on his contract at $11 million per. He's 33 years old. Austin Matthews has 4 years left on his deal. Nylander they just signed him this offseason, a ridiculous amount. And Mitch Marner he's got one more year in his deal. You're not, and he's 26.
See you later, Mitch Marner. We're not going to have the cap space to bring you back. Let's get rid of your ass. See you later.
Money to sign him. Here's the thing. Tavares comes off the books the same time as Nylander. If you move Tavares, you can sign Nylander to an extension this offseason. You can make moves.
Who's going to take Tavares on with all that cap hit?
It's 1 year. It's 1 year. Even if you eat a little bit of cap.
Okay, gotcha. So the team that needs to add should eat some cap.
Or how about you trade? How about you move a draft pick to have somebody like the Islanders like to do? You move a draft pick to get someone.
Then you become the Islanders.
Well, not necessarily that. I will say this. They're going to get more back in return by trading a guy who actually has value.
Yes, agreed.
They have plenty of star power. The issue for that team is not star power. The issue of that team is zero goaltending and zero toughness.
If you
guess what? There's an issue with the culture there. Culture issue. Simple.
Maybe it's your captain, John Tavares. Maybe that's the problem.
Okay, maybe it is.
Okay.
You know better who's the problem and who's not.
They have $18 million in cap space going to the offseason. They have some guys they have to re-sign.
That's correct.
The whole thing is you can move Tavares. That's $29 million you have to spend. Here's the thing. The good news if you're a Toronto Maple Leaf fan is the pieces that you need are inexpensive. Solid defenseman. Those are not expensive pieces.
Okay, a goalie is an expensive piece. A top-tier goalie absolutely is an expensive piece.
But anybody's better than the guy. I mean, the Joseph Wall kid, he was a rookie this year. Maybe he'll be better next year. Samsonov is not the answer. And I'm not – you go out and get yourself another veteran. Go out and get yourself a veteran. I mean, they're inexpensive. and have a solid backup as opposed to Samsonov. The fact is their defense isn't good enough. I agree they're not physical enough. They don't have enough toughness. I'd much rather have the high echelon guys because the nuts and bolts guys are dime a dozen and they're cheap.
For Joseph Wall, again, here's the thing. You need to be legitimate. You need it's how many more years are you going to continue to waste of the prime and the big threes prime? How many more years? Many more years?
Okay,
Make drastic moves. Simple as that.
Okay. You're not talking trading one of the big three. They're the solution. The problem is a guy like John Tavares, who's well past his expiration date, making $11 million a year. We knew that was going to happen.
There's no way you're going to get a team to take him on for 11 mil.
I disagree. I think you can. You might have to give up.
Name one team that would take him on for 11 mil.
You might maybe Chicago. I mean, certain teams need to get to the cap floor. You maybe even have to give up a second-round draft pick to get him off your roster. That can be done. It's done all the time. You can move him. He's not immovable.
So you'd have to pay a team to move him.
Yeah, that's right. But teams do that all the time. They give up draft capital, and the cap goes up next year again also. So the cap's going to continue to increase. They could, if they want to, they absolutely can make it work. Do they have the stones to do it? I have no idea.
Here's the thing. I don't want to get off.
They're not beating Boston. That much I can tell you.
I don't want to get off too much on a tangent, right? We're 17 minutes in. I didn't mean for this to erode the conversation to this point or to steer the conversation here. We do know one thing, right? Toronto never beats Boston. Toronto never beats Boston. And one more time, Toronto never beats Boston. And guess what? It's kind of similar to the Islanders never beat Carolina. The Islanders never beat Carolina. And one more time, the Islanders never beat Carolina. I'll tell you this, guys I've been impressed with so far in this year's postseason. Did you see the Grmpy kid for the Rangers? Holy shit. I tell you what, here's the thing. The goal was right place, right time. The third goal, he absolutely set up with that moving pick that they didn't call. Playoff hockey, right? That they didn't call. And it created that lane where it hit off of somebody and scored.
Everyone knows that Matt Grmpy is X's favorite player for the Rangers, is he not?
I want to see somebody chop his knee out.
He was relishing playing against Tom Wilson. Relishing it.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Wilson would get his ass kicked by that guy. You just went at this point.
That's right.
Like, how much taller is Grmpy than Wilson? Like 4 or 5 inches?
And he's a lot younger.
And I was about to say, got a long reach and a lot younger. Well,
and he hits hard, too.
30s. Wilson's in his 30s, isn't he?
Close to it.
It'd be nice to see somebody just go while he's going in for a hit and just duck down and blow his kneecap right out, just clean out of the skin.
X, why do you keep talking like that, X?
I don't like Grmpy, but I don't dislike him
like this. Boom, right in half.
Here's the thing.
Tom Wilson is 30 years old.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But he's an old 30, if you know what I mean.
He's had a lot of injuries. He's got a lot of miles on his body.
Physical player.
He's going to be a guy who's one of those guys at the end of his life who's like, I have a hard time moving and getting up because he just spent so much of his effort and so much of his body and time on the ice was just like it's killing him. But yeah, it's the Rangers are the far better team. It's as simple as that. And X, I guess he's want to start putting up.
Yeah, let's get some comments.
Well, okay, go ahead, Derek. You can read comment X or Grmpy.
Joseph C says the Mets have had the hardest strength of schedule so far in Major League Baseball, and they're 12-9. Not too shabby.
It's so early yet. How do you know really how strong the opponents are they're playing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they had beat the Dodgers. They did win 6 or 7 in a row.
They lost like 10-0 today.
Well, they ran it to Tyler Glass now. So,
Yeah. That's why. Yeah, sure. That's why they gave up 10 runs though, too.
Joseph C. also adds, weird how Drake May is dropping down draft boards, by the way. Now there's talk the Patriots might not take Daniels either. Do we want to touch on that now, or are we going to save that for later in the show?
Touch on it now, Grump.
I'll just say NFL's mock draft that they have out has Jaden Daniels going 2nd, and then they have Drake May going 3rd to the Pats.
Jalen Daniels.
He sucks.
I'm not going to say he sucks. I think he's benefited playing in that wide open system at LSU where guys are just, you got 2 first-round talents at wide receiver. Another guy's going to go in the 2nd round. and he just throws the ball deep down the field. He's not real good throwing shallow passes. He'd much rather run. Guys, and he runs straight up and down. Guys like that, like RG3,
don't last.
They don't last. They get lit up. I mean, he drank about 6 gallons of water before his pro day, just to get up to whatever 200 plus pounds. He's skinny. He's also older than everybody else. He's played 4 years at
Arizona
State and the last 2 at LSU. I don't know. He's going to fail. The biggest problem with him is he's not really a leader on the field. He's kind of, other guys are the vocal leaders, and he's just, he lets his stuff show on the field. I don't think you can have that as a quarterback.
He is going to be as much of a failure as a failure can be. He's going to be a guy who can't stay on the field. He's going to be guys at locker room issue. I promise you, this kid has failure written all over him.
Now, he seems like a really good kid, though.
Okay. You know what happened when he left Arizona State? His teammates were like, "See you later, bitch." They were not happy. They were see you later. They were shit talking him as he was leaving. They did not like him at all. So I'll be interested to see how things are in the NFL, where guys they're relying upon money in this industry. So
I also sent you an article about bust potential for the top 6 quarterbacks, and it gives you a percentage of what they're going to bust out at. And while you pull out a TJ, I'm going to just tell you something.
Well, here's the thing: if you text it to me, I don't have it, Grump. So yeah.
X, you have it, do you not?
Email.
Which one?
You have it. The one about bust potential of quarterbacks. You do have it, TJ. I sent it.
Grump, you could send that to me via email next time. It makes it a lot easier for me.
I don't send anything to email. I just send it via text. So there you go.
Do that in the future.
What's the email, TJ? Put it in the private chat, the email I need to send it to.
Yeah. Gina. Okay.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing with Jalen Daniels. He didn't or his agent. He didn't come out and say anything. His agent said that he didn't like the fact that the Washington Commanders / formerly Redskins came out and brought all these quarterbacks in at the same time for a visit. He didn't like that. That's what his agent said. He doesn't like them because he doesn't like what they did. He thought that was a bad move. I'm like, why is the agent talking and saying this is a bad move?
Because the kid didn't like it.
And supposedly he does not like the New England Patriots because he doesn't want to play in a cold weather environment.
He sucks. This kid fucking blows. Good God.
The teams he wants to go to are the Minnesota Vikings.
Play in a dome.
They play in a dome. Or the Las Vegas Raiders.
He's a failure.
Another team that plays in a dome.
That's right. It's warm there too, but yes, they play in a dome. And then you got, and as soon as you pull that article up, I want to talk about all the quarterbacks. But here's the thing. Drake May, all I know is I saw Drake May play last year. I thought he was pretty damn good. His feet aren't good. He might have to sit out a year. Well, so what? If he's the best quarterback, he doesn't have to play right away. If you think that he's the best leader for your team and the best way that you can have your team move forward in the future, so what if he sits out a year? Patrick Mahomes sat out a year. Brady sat out a year. Eli Manning sat out, 10 weeks? I mean, you can do that. I mean, these teams are bad anyway, picking at the top of the draft. I'm going for the guy I think is the best quarterback. Caleb Williams, I think he has a big bust potential too. Do you have that article so we could just?
No, we don't, Grumpy, because when we do, I'll put it up on screen, my friend. We could just talk about the draft and we could just talk about it until Lex gets that to me, okay?
I sent it to you.
Okay. Well, I'm still waiting on it. So I guess we're waiting at the speed of light.
Okay.
Here's the thing.
But you're
looking at these quarterbacks. This is a bad quarterback class. I don't give a shit when these kids are going to be drafted. There's a lot of failures in this year's class. It's that simple.
Now there are rumors that everyone knows the Vikings want to move up to get a quarterback. Absolutely. You're hearing that maybe McCarthy, the kid from Michigan, could be number 2 to Washington. All I know is I watched the McCarthy kid play. He doesn't impress me. I'm sorry. Well, he's a leader, Okay, but they never depended on him to win games at Michigan. It was the running game and defense.
When it's 4th and 1 and you need a good handoff, that's the guy you go to right there.
I mean, Michael Penix, all of a sudden, he was viewed as a second-round pick. Now they're saying he could be in play for Atlanta at number 8.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I thought Michael Penix couldn't have looked any better than he did against Texas. And he couldn't have looked much worse than when he played against Michigan. He's another guy, really good at the deep ball, but can't throw the underneath pass. In the NFL, you're not going to have 5-6 seconds to stand back there and rocket balls down the field, and you're not going to have a whole bunch of receivers who are top 10 receivers, who are drafted coming out of college. You're not going to have that going to a bad team. I just find it confusing. Drake May played on a bad North Carolina team. He was tremendous as a sophomore. He was really good as a sophomore. And here's the thing. This is from somebody who I have a North Carolina bias. I don't think North Carolina quarterbacks are very good. This kid impressed the hell out of me the couple of games I saw last year.
He underwhelmed this last year, and that's the reason why his draft stock fell. Are we confused about that? I mean,
he had a different offensive coordinator, lost both of his wide receivers, and the team sucked as a whole. So, I mean, when you're losing all that, it's awful tough to look as good as you did when you had all your, or whatever your weapons were the year before. I'm just saying, if you put Drake May in LSU's offense or in USC's offense or in Michigan's offense, I bet he would have had a great year, much better than this year.
I don't think much of him either. I think he's maybe the best out of the quarterbacks. But I mean, this year's draft stock is just bad. It's bad.
I think you could potentially see 5 quarterbacks go in the first 10 picks.
A lot of failure.
What does it tell you?
What you wanted to show me a blogger who put together some like bust meter? Like, this is just okay. When you were reading this article, Grumpy, and it says Jalen Daniels only has a 20% chance to bust, were you not like, I don't need to Grump? Can we?
I just felt, and it's not some random blogger. Okay?
It is.
It's Bleacher Report. Okay.
It's a random blogger, this fella. Who the fuck is Maurice Morton? What the heck is this guy?
He's a guy who writes for Bleacher Report.
Some blogger. Some random blogger. Grump.
Here's the thing. I just thought the numbers were interesting, and I thought it was worth talking about. They're saying that Jalen Daniels has a 20% bust rate. I think his bust rate is much higher than that.
Yeah, it's 99.999999 repeating. There's no shot in hell this kid pans out. He's built like have you ever seen him take a fucking hit? He's built like paper mache. He weighs about 200 pounds dripping wet. Look at Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is a much bigger physical specimen than freaking Jalen Daniels is, and they both were run-first guys. Anthony Richardson's first year in the league, let's say first few weeks in the league, led to a few concussions and a season-ending shoulder injury. Okay, what do you think paper mache over here is going to do? He will not last the season. He's going to make Tua Tagovailoa look like an Iron Man.
Well, that's my point, and that's why
good.
That's why I said I think he's a much higher bust level than 20%, because he's not going to be having the weapons that he had at LSU.
Doesn't even matter.
He's not a true leader, supposedly, and I agree with you. I think he's going to. You can't do some things in the NFL that you can do in college. Belichick, who's going to be actually doing, if you can believe this, a live draft show with that useless piece of shit McAfee. He was talking about that with all these quarterbacks, and he said that
Pat McAfee, Grumpy, he's your favorite.
Yeah, I love him. He's great. Here's the thing: if they let Belichick just talk about football, I think he'll be great. If they try to make him a comedian, it's not going to work. Let him just talk about it. You listen to him talk, and it's like, holy shit, he just knows more than anybody else football-wise. I still firmly believe that. His time ran out in New England, but that doesn't mean he still couldn't be a good football coach. And if
X Grumpy's not done with this, buddy. We just went through one. Can you stop popping up on screen? Grumpy brought something to the table. He did not let me know that he wanted to talk about this, so it's added to our show.
He's just freaking rambling.
I know he is, but we're gonna have to.
I thought we were talking about the percentages, not how Bill Belichick's gonna do in the announcing broadcast booth for the freaking draft.
Drake May. What do you think Drake May? Okay, instead of just rolling down showing everybody, I'm going to ask you what you think.
33%, Grump. That's my guess.
33%.
I'm thinking this guy Maurice Moten is going to say 33% failure for Drake May.
I think out of all the quarterbacks, he has the greatest chance to succeed.
He's about a guy who's like a 60% chance to fail as well. There's nobody in this year's class where I'm like, oh, that's a Justin Herbert, or oh, gotcha. This is a CJ Stroud.
You realize Drake May is compared to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert.
Because he's a white guy. Is that what the reason is?
It's because of his size and his athletic ability and the way he throws.
He's nowhere near as athletic as Josh Allen or Herbert.
You're wrong. You're just flat out wrong. You didn't see him play. You never saw him play, so you can't talk about
it. You didn't have cable. There's no way you watched him play.
That's right. You didn't have cable
every single year against Pittsburgh. You understand all of the ACC games are through the ESPN, where you could just go ahead and get it on ESPN Watch now.
Wait, hold on. Full hold. So wait, you saw him play against Pittsburgh?
Every single time.
Well, they bench their starting quarterbacks. They don't even need him out there on the field when they play Pittsburgh. So you must have never seen him play.
That's wrong.
He played 2 years against Pittsburgh, right? What were his numbers, X? X, you can bring up his numbers because TJ's full of shit. Go to the next guy.
I've seen him play.
Yeah.
Not as impressed. Okay. Not as impressed as you.
Okay. Don't scroll all the way down.
X, I see you still have not gotten your, hold on. X, I see you still have not gotten your fucking microphone working yet. X, what the fuck
about that? Huh? Why don't you talk about that after the show? JJ McCarthy, what do you think his bust rate's going to be?
89%. It's what it should be, but it's not, because this guy Maurice likes to give all these quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt. This kid is a 90+% of fail. If he's drafted as a top 3 pick, this kid's an automatic failure.
His QBR against Pitt was a 93.5. He went 22 for 30 on completions, had 296 yards, completion percentage of 73.3. He had a touchdown, and his longest was 52 yards.
How many
he
interceptions
also got sacked 5 times. Tells me his offensive line was
hard.
How many interceptions did he throw?
No interceptions that game.
0. So tell me again how he sucked. Completing almost 75% of his pass. Who won the game, Max? Who won the game?
Pittsburgh did.
No, it was Carolina. They won 41-24.
Oh, okay.
So that was last year.
Bad team this year.
So let's just say TJ's take on Drake May is just absolute fucking bullshit.
It's not. Why don't you tell me more about how Bryce Young was a better quarterback over CJ Stroud?
Maybe he's saying he's shitty because he doesn't like
to prove it. It's not been proven.
You've never seen him play, is all we said, and it's pretty obvious you have.
I've seen Drake May play. I've seen him play against Pittsburgh in that downtrodden.
He played terribly. He almost threw for 300 effing yards.
I saw him play 2 years ago against the rainstorm at Heinz Field. I've seen him play 3 or 4
dude.
Please.
You want to know what I think it is? He doesn't like it because he always beat the shit out of Pittsburgh. That's why.
Slob all over another Chapel Hill quarterback that's going to flounder and fail per the usual. Just keep doing it. Just the same exact thing as USC.
When was the last time Pitt produced a good quarterback?
Dan Marino.
Holy shit. Before
Dan Marino. 40 years ago.
Yeah. Dan Marino. Dan Marino. Sure.
Dan Marino.
You asked.
And here's the thing. He went late. He went the 24th in the draft or 27th in the draft, whatever it was back in the day. He was the 6th quarterback taken in the first round, Dan Marino.
So, Chidi, what are you going to say if Drake May balls out and absolutely lights up the world?
I think his ability to fail is at 60%. I think he could be successful.
You want to know somebody whose ability to fail is at 100%? Kenny freaking Pickett.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, again, we could go back and listen to the draft day commentary. I said this guy's not going to reinvent the wheel. I think his floor is to be. I think his ceiling is to be an above average quarterback.
You said he thought he was going to be a decent quarterback. He is absolutely not a decent quarterback.
Let's not go back in the Wayback Machine. He blows. Everybody knows it. What about JJ McCarthy? What's his bust percentage?
90%.
90%.
Okay, so I guess I'll need to have X start to answer before me, so he won't just take my answers over here. I feel like
I said 90 before you said 90.
You didn't say anything.
90%. I said 90%.
What does the author say?
X, hold on. X, I just before we even started talking and you started displaying stats, I told you he's a high percentage. 51. Yeah, what a joke. Okay, Bo Nix. See, I'm going to say Bo Nix. I don't have high expectations for him. So, like, the bust. You know what?
He's an older guy again, who's played 6 years of college football, and to me, I just don't think he's that good. Now he's probably going to go 2nd round or late 1st for a quarterback desperate team. What does all this tell you, though? when you're seeing potentially 6 quarterbacks go in the first round and 5 in the top 10, teams are desperate for quarterbacks.
Yep.
It's a quarterback league because the whole league's about throwing the ball now. So what do you think his bust percentage is, TJ?
I don't think much of him. So like for a bust for me, if he fucking steps on the field, I consider this not a bust. I think this kid is just I have no expectations, right? So like for a bust,
like if you think he's a piece of shit, it's like how can he underperform for being a piece of shit? Can he be like a double? He's not going
to be a top 10 pick. And how often do quarterbacks drafted late in the first or the second round actually pan out? So it's like the potential to bust. That's why it's like for him, he's not even in the bust conversation because
Jordan Love I thought was a first round pick.
He was late first round.
20
Lamar Jackson was the last pick in the first round.
There's sometimes those guys perform, but there's so many of them you don't even remember their names. You can remember the guys who are picked in the top 5 or the top 10 of quarterbacks that don't pan out because it's like the hype is behind them, right? So it's just like there's no hype behind this kid. I don't know why he's even included on this list.
I'm going to try to make it simple. When I think of bust, it's a guy who's not going to be your starting quarterback.
100%.
Okay, it's not 100%. If it was you or me out there, it's 100%.
If he ain't going to be this, there's no way this kid's going to be a starting quarterback, unless the whole team just pretty much just gets injured, all their quarterbacks. Then this kid might step on the field.
Okay. He could be. He's this kid strikes me as a journeyman quarterback.
Kenny Pickett. He could be a Kenny Pickett type.
Okay, he might be a little better than Kenny Pickett. He might be a little better than Kenny Pickett, but they're all the same. Journeyman quarterback who will iron out maybe 6 or 7 years, coming in and mop up duty or when the starter gets hurt. That's who he is.
What's your?
I just gave you the answer. Whatever you want to put on the bust meter for what I just gave you is what you can do.
Just give us a
70%. 70%. That's what I'm saying. 70.
What do you say, TJ?
71.
71. Okay. Let's see what this is not like The Price is Right. Where if you bid too high on your bid.
75, son of a bitch.
There you go. So you agree.
Take a deep X.
You agree with Mr. Moton on this. Okay, and what's the next one?
Okay, let's take a look
scrolling.
Here. Michael
Penix Jr. Bust potential. Now he's going to be picked higher than Bo Nix, and all of a sudden he's rocketing up boards. Now he's a leader type. Another guy
80%.
80%.
Yep.
TJ?
Oh, I'm saying he's gonna.
I think he's only got about 80% of his ACL still left in his knee, so that's why I'm saying
80%. Shit.
Come on, spit it out. Let's go.
I'm giving the likelihood.
Good God, it's not a test.
About 90%.
90%. All right, scroll down.
And he's a guy rocketing up the draft boards because he is a leader type. Okay,
65%. No,
I think he'll be better than Bo Nix. I agree with that.
Yeah,
and I think
he blows out his knee and then he just done. He retires.
One more to look at.
You think Penix is going to be better than Bo Nix?
Yes. Yeah,
I think Penix's ability to do absolutely nothing and be out of the league in 3 years is higher than Bo Nix's. Again, Bo Nix, just like I told you earlier, maybe has the ability to be a little bit better than Kenny Pickett, meaning he's got a very high floor but a very low ceiling. Penix is a wild card at this point. He's captain. He's like a captain injury. I'm sorry, and he played with how many fantastic players in the wide open. I'm actually saying Penix about fail 95%. You've convinced me higher. Okay, Caleb Williams 100%. There's no way this kid ever pans out and lives up to the expectations he has. 100% failure for Caleb Williams.
So your best, the guy with the best chance to succeed
is Drake May at 40%.
Drake May with a 60% bust rate.
That's correct.
Yes.
I told you this. I said this year's quarterback stock, quarterback draft class is miserable.
What percentage do you think Caleb Williams comes out on the bust meter?
I'm going to go a little bit under 100. I'm going to say 95%.
Okay.
I think he's more of an issue than he is an asset with all the extra additional shit that this kid wants. Somebody needs to honestly just ring his bell one time really hard, and maybe it'll knock some sense into him.
They need to do a soap party to him, or what do they call that? A blanket party?
No, I'm saying they need to bring back Vontaze Burfict and have him lay a damn Antonio Brown-esque hit right to the side of his temple. And then maybe it'll knock some sense.
Do you know the quarterback he's most compared to?
Jamarcus Russell.
Kyler Murray. Another failure.
Patrick
No.
Mahomes.
No.
Shit.
Sorry. Did Patrick Mahomes only win 30% of his games against ranked teams when he played for Texas Tech? The answer to that is no.
It probably won less than that. Texas Tech was
No, he
Texas
won
Tech
more
blew.
than that.
No, Texas Tech was bad. Let's see.
This kid's only won 30% of his games against ranked opponents.
Yeah, this guy, Mr. Moton.
sucks.
Mr. Moton needs to, Captain Blogger Moton needs to go ahead and reassess some quarterback assessments he's put out there.
Now, I think the bust percentage is higher than what he says on most of these guys, but I'm not going. The best chance for anybody is 40% of making it.
Guess what? There's a lot of times, like think about the Kenny Pickett year when they had, who was it? Desmond Ridder.
Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback drafted. That was a bad year for quarterbacks.
That's correct. It was the worst year, or one of the worst years historically for quarterbacks to be drafted. I'm not saying this year is as bad. Here's the thing. I think you have maybe some quarterbacks when all is said and done and the dust settles that can be journeyman quarterbacks. And I'm like, that's not the end of the world, but it's certainly not what you aspire to be if you're picking a quarterback in the first round, a guy who's a journeyman.
I just think that it just tells you when you look at how high these. I mean, you look at Jake McCarthy.
A lot of people are going to fail.
Jake McCarthy. Anyone who what's his name is? What's his first?
JJ McCarthy.
JJ. Okay, Jake. Whatever. JJ McCarthy. You look at him, and you think what? Third round pick. Realistically, maybe a third round pick.
Game manager quarterback is what I think of him.
I cannot believe how he's rocketed up the boards compared to what they looked at talent-wise, and then they go through the draft process, and all of a sudden he's looked at as, certainly a top 5 pick where teams are clamoring to trade up multiple year first-round picks for J.J. McCarthy. I don't get it. Michael Penix, injured most of his career, year after year after year. First year he's been healthy was this year. I thought he looked great against Texas. You saw everything that I heard about him getting exposed when pressured and just the inability to throw short routes. It all came true against Michigan. If you just looked at him after that Texas game and he says, I'm not playing in the championship game, he'd be a top 10 pick for certain because he looked that good in that Texas game. Drake May is the answer to who the best quarterback of this class is going to be.
Yeah, and it's not really much. And just look at this. 7 games from 2019. 3 games started in 2018. 6 games in 2020. That was when COVID year. An injury in 2021. So I think it was 3 out of his first 4 years in college he had season-ending injuries.
Michael Penix Jr., right?
That's correct.
Yeah, he's always hurt. Always hurt.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The hits kind of get a little bit harder in the NFL than they are in college.
True.
So good luck. Best of luck to you there, Michael Penix. Hopefully your failure at least results in you signing a few fat contracts. So, yes, we went down that rabbit hole. We discussed what we think about the quarterbacks.
Get the comments.
Here comes Al.
I think he spelled it wrong. Madrid is the name. This is Alex Monroe. Says, Mob Boss Perez in the VAR booth again today. Please tell me the difference between the tackle on Yamel the Camel and the red card on Barca's, that useless piece of shit against PSG midweek. One was legal, and the other one was not. That's the difference.
One had a center back that was back there coming back with additional defense. The other did not.
The other one had Freddie Valverde coming back. So you know what happens when Freddie's back there? Nobody gets by.
One had a clear and obvious chance in on net alone, and he was tackled from behind, and one did not.
There you go.
That's the difference. Alrighty, next comment here. Freedom Fund Adventure Grump.
Thank God Prodigal Son X has returned. X, you should have heard your old man and brother of yours last night. They were using every Phil's facts tactic. Truth deniers, happy you're back, X.
Don't worry, I did this one for Vardrid right here. You know who does this celebration?
Jake Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham.
Jake Bellingham. Are you fucking losing your mind today, X? What is going on? Grumpy, what's going on, dude?
Jake Bellingham. No, Jude
Bellingham.
Jude Bellingham, the man who scores game winners for Real. That's right.
Grumpy's brain's going soft these days.
Thank you, Freedom Fund Adventure. I'm excited to be back as well.
And we did have, just to let you know, we did have Champions League. They're down to the semifinals. Real Madrid beats Manchester City. Bayern Munich beats Arsenal. PSG easily handled Barcelona. And Borussia Dortmund beat Atletico Madrid.
Yep. So the finals, right? The semifinals are going to be Borussia Dortmund against their PSG, and it's going to be Bayern Munich against Real Madrid.
Yes.
So, here's the thing. For those unaffiliated, I'd say most fans, if you don't have a dog in the fight, are probably pulling for Borussia Dortmund just because they've never won it. They've come so close. You can shake your head all you want.
Close. When did they come so close to winning Champions League?
They've come so close right now to the semifinals, X. They've come so close to winning multiple times. If people like to see Marco Reus maybe win a championship, they would like that.
No one here even knows Marco Reus except for us and maybe
I said
Alex.
unaffiliated soccer fans.
Maybe Alex Monroe, maybe. Because he doesn't know much about soccer when I read some of his comments.
All righty. Anyway,
Alex adds another. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's Real Madrid's to lose. I thought the two best teams and have been all year were Real Madrid and Manchester City. That should have been your final, honestly.
Yep.
Don't like the draw procedure, the way they do it. The other side is if Real Madrid beats Bayern Munich, I guarantee you they'll win in Champions League. I'll just put it to you that way. Alex Monroe once again says Barca had a goal not allowed, even though the ball was clearly over the line.
Wrong.
Funny enough, La Liga coincidentally doesn't have the money to get goal line technology. Worked out well for Madrid. We don't. So
you're telling me that they planned that all year because they haven't had goal line technology since the beginning of the season. So you tell me that they just waited for this crucial time period to be like, "Yep, this is going to be the game where where it didn't pay off for us to have goal line technology."
Why do they not have goal line technology in that league?
They should.
They don't want it.
Why
They're
don't
cheap? Because the people people who are in charge of La Liga are cheap. They didn't want to pay the money for it. That's why. That's why they don't have it. They even said it during the game. They said, "Yeah, I bet they wish that they had goal line technology now." The call on the field was no goal.
Well, I'll tell you, as much technology as you can have. I'm not sure if you guys had picked it up or had seen this. So there's a big issue. The Premier League, for the battle to avoid relegation, is heating up. It's heating up. So Nottingham Forest played today. They're playing against another relegation potential team in Everton. Long story short, there was a few calls that were missed and that were not allowed due to a VAR look, and they should have for Nottingham Forest. And that would have, Nottingham Forest winning would essentially rule Burnley out to avoid relegation. So, just being impartial, they probably did screw Nottingham Forest over today. Their official Twitter page and their team made the statement of they had 3 extremely poor decisions, 3 penalties not given, which simply cannot be accepted. We warned the Premier League, the Premier League game day officials or whatever, that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change them. Our patience has been tested multiple times, and they said they are going to they will now consider its options, like ominously, like we're going to sue the Premier League or something like that. And now here's the thing. If you watch that game, it's like, holy shit, that looked like they absolutely got fucked. I think they did, and I'm rooting for them to lose. So,
do you have the article that Grmpy sent you, TJ?
No.
He sent you an article about, I think it was, which team was it, Grump?
Nottingham Forest.
Oh, okay. They are talking about how pretty much they feel that all season the big clubs absolutely get calls in the Premier League that the little clubs don't get.
They do. Newsflash. That is what VAR allowed them to do, because essentially what it's like a safety. It's like a safe fail measure, because if it's a big team that we could look at it and squint and say, that should be a foul, they're going to give it to them. And for the small teams against a big team, they're like, no foul, don't worry about it. It's now they could just go ahead and essentially use the video replay to determine if they need to penalize a team or not. They've done it all year to Burnley. It's the reason why Burnley has 7 red cards in 32 games or however many they've played, or 34 games.
All right, let's move on. They
do it all the time.
Let's move on from a Division 2's team. We don't care about them.
It's not a Division 2 team.
Gungun says they will be in about 2 weeks.
Okay, Grumpy, you could stop, please, because guess what? Believe it or not, I had something to tie it all together, Grumpy.
Well, so do it.
Stay in your lane, bust rating, okay, Grumpy?
Bust rating, shit, man.
I had a perfectly good article on the bust potential, and you two guys mitchelled up the
This
whole
was
thing.
This was cheated at Grumpy. He just pooped right on the head.
Here's the reason why I was bringing up the VAR and I was talking about how they're screwing the little team over, because it happened again today in the FA Cup, right? Eric Ten Hag, right? The manager for Manchester United. They barely squeaked in to win today against Covington City or Coventry City. I'm sorry, I mispronounced the name. But they had to win in pens against a championship side. It's right. FA Cup means all the teams in England get to compete to see who's the best team, right? Best team in England. They barely won. Eric Ten Hag, right, says, hey, the game is not an embarrassment. I don't see that word. It's a huge achievement. We've achieved 2 finals in 2 years. From all the setbacks we've had, the 3-3 today, we need consistency from the referee. Okay, so this is what the big problem is out. This was a goal scored by Coventry City, and the VAR line that was drawn when you zoom in on it, it goes on top of Aaron Wan-Bissaka's foot and not actually to the front of his foot to make it an offside decision. And again, Coventry City wants to go ahead and bring forth legal action, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, you could see it here. They didn't draw the line far enough. And he did score, and this would have caused Manchester United to lose. Do you think that the FA and European or English football wanted Coventry City against Manchester City or Manchester United against Manchester City? Which one do you think they wanted?
United City.
Right.
It's just like these type of things in VAR are starting to get noticed. It's a complete joke. It should be. Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to say it again. If you have to look at something for more than 30 seconds, you leave what was called on the field. Period. It took about 5 minutes for them reviewing that. 30 seconds. If you can't tell immediately, let's move on.
It took them long enough because they're like, how much of his foot do you think we can cover without the fans noticing? Let's maybe cover his first few digits of his toes. I mean, like, come on. Obviously, they misdrew the line here, and it cost Coventry City a chance to be playing Manchester City to be the best team in England.
Like we said, it's a way for them to determine the outcome of games. That's all it's used for. It's used for nothing else.
And you zoom in on it too. Like, you can obviously tell based off that lump that goes over the blue line. There is his foot. Yep. Now, I did find this was just like, it's just classless there by Anthony. They won in pens, and he started, showing off this, cup in the ear at the guys from the championship, a league below, who were just like, hey, we're happy to be here. I don't know. Not a good look for United. I think the VAR absolutely is flawed, needs to have serious changes made to it.
Bottom line, he can laugh now. He is like, right now, Manchester United going up against Man City. Manchester United are the Washington Capitals. They're the New York Islanders. They're whatever shitty team that gets rolled in the first round. They have zero chance, and I mean zero chance of beating Manchester City, who, they're not going to win Champions League. That means they're going to play their best against Man United. They're going to win Premier League championship. They're going to win this little FA Cup thing. And the only thing they won't win is Champions League because they ran into Real Madrid.
Do you remember when I said City was going to find a way to win?
You did.
And sure enough, they're in the lead, right? And now they're not worried about any European football. They don't have to worry about Champions League anymore. It's just all Premier League.
The starters go out there.
Yep, exactly. They're not going to have to worry about the guys wearing dead legs at the end of the season because they're playing 2 more games of Champions League, and then they're playing the rest of these games over this haul. They don't have to worry about that anymore.
That's
so.
Right. And they have a cakewalk in league for the rest of the year. A cakewalk.
Yep.
The only team they play that's worth their shit is Tottenham. That's it.
And Tottenham will find a way to bottle that.
Or actually, no, I don't even think they're playing Tottenham. Never mind. They're not even playing Tottenham.
Anyway, so I'll let you continue to get back there to the comment there, X. I just wanted to tie that together on VAR, big issues, potential threats of suing. Anyway, go ahead there, Grump. Goon.
Son X, if TJ really, really wants you to hold your wedding cocktail hour at Buc-ee's, will you agree?
I think TJ would just want an entire container of that, that brisket sauce.
He'd be right at the carving station all day.
He would.
Come on. JP Grumpy.
JP says, good evening. I can't make up my mind whether the Islanders emptied their tank, played their perfect game, or will get demolished when the Canes get it together, or if the Islanders keep playing up and out, keeping up and outplaying the Canes for a large swaths means they could actually win the freaking thing. Okay. TJ, you want to comment on that? How about putting that? We're doing a show. How come you're drinking out of some type of damn gallon canister over there?
Yeah, dude. Come on.
Did you really not have anything you could say about that, Grumpy?
Yeah, stop drinking during the
I think
show.
they're going to lose to Carolina.
Here's the thing. Carolina, I think, played a poor game. I think that's noticeable. I think the Islanders played their best game. That's also noticeable. And I think, right, it's as I mentioned yesterday on the show, it's like a team when they're playing on the second half of a back-to-back, Grumpy and X. X and Grumpy both staring at TV, zoning out.
See if you can get your point across within an hour.
I'll get it across there, bus rating. Please stay in your lane, bus.
Come on, spit it out.
Here's the thing. They are in a spot to where second half of a back-to-back.
Today, Junior.
The first team, the team who just played, usually comes out and plays better in the first period because their legs are more accustomed to just playing a game because they just played last night. In the third period, they are always gassed, getting dominated because their legs are tired. The Islanders have been playing playoff-style hockey for 3 weeks. They are ready for playoff-style hockey. When the Hurricanes get accustomed to playing playoff style hockey, they're going to absolutely throttle us. Go ahead.
Okay, JP. I'm going to go with your first comment. The Islanders played as good as they can. Carolina didn't. They have no shot of beating Carolina. I think the Islanders can maybe win a game. That's it. That's case scenario.
Game 3. Game 3 is the one maybe the win.
James Farrell says, are you guys sick of mock drafts? I haven't really been watching them much this year. I find with the People's Champion no longer in the game, I don't have as much interest in mock drafts.
Next comment. No People's Champions talk, Grumpy.
I'm just saying mock drafts. I have not been looking at many.
Soft and tentative was a scouting report on TJ in college. Yes, it was. That was it. You got
it. Alex Monroe says, why does Pep and Man City complain about the amount of games this time of the year? That's what happens when you advance in multiple competitions. It's a privilege and not a punishment.
Well, it's the fact that they reschedule games. So based off of how close your games are together, they'll reschedule league games. They'll reschedule FA Cup games and everything like that. They didn't do that. They just had played a game. What was it, on Wednesday or Thursday? And then they're playing again on Saturday. Vegas wanted to be playing the Sunday game. They're like, why the fuck is Coventry City and Manchester United not playing the Saturday game? And why are we playing the Saturday game? Why can't we get the extra day of rest because we just played Wednesday? That's what they're looking for.
Bottom line is they lost to Real Madrid. They have, even though they won Champions League last year, they have the choke gene in them. They really do. Sorry.
Al's calling the Hurricanes daddy again, says Al.
Absolutely. Joseph C. says that Florida-Tampa series is going 7 games, in my opinion. Maybe. I think it's in the East, it's easily the most competitive series. That's the one where I think that Tampa could win. But Florida looked really good today. They really carried the action for most of the game. Florida's a good team. James Farrell says the Knicks won a very, 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 3 varies. That means it's really tough. Very, very, very tough game. It's going to be a long series, 7 games. Knicks aren't that good.
That's correct. Same thing I took away from that.
JP adds, go Jets. Jets, 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 Jets. Watch out for the Jets. They could win division this year. Gungun says, who will give the Rangers?
You talk about Winnipeg Jets.
No, he's talking about the New York Jets X.
Oh.
Fuck.
Well, I thought the Winnipeg Jets because they're playing.
How can the Winnipeg Jets win Division X? The fucking playoffs are all
He didn't say anything about winning division. He just said, let's go Jets. That's all he said.
Gungun says.
Grumpy's the one who said they could win division.
Fuck.
Gungun says, who will give the Rangers, the New York Rangers, not the Texas Rangers, the most trouble? Grumpy, I anxiously await your rebuttal. I think Carolina give them trouble. If they beat Carolina, Florida would give them trouble. I think Florida and Carolina are the 2 best teams in the East. I do. Boston only goes as far. Here's the thing. Boston can't beat Tampa. That much I do know. That'd be Toronto, but I don't think they can beat Florida, Tampa. Too young, too fast. And Carolina should come out of the Metro. Josie says Carolina or Florida, the only teams that really scare me against the Rangers, and those should be the 2 teams that do scare you.
Yep.
They're really good at 5-on-5. That's a weakness for the New York Rangers hockey team.
You're going to be Al.
Says Arch Manning Horns Don spring game stats: 19 to 25, 355, 3 touchdowns. Ewers might need to watch his back. No NFL D line and depth of wide receivers to rely on this year. Isn't it? I mean, the spring games are kind of like glorified,
like little events for fans. They're
like
events for fans.
They're more. It's not quite a 7-on-7. It's a little bit more than that, but not much.
I don't care for spring games. I really don't care at all. You're playing a whole bunch of guys who, you know, and like most times you do like drafts, and it's like it's meant to be fun for the kids. It's meant to be fun for the fans. That's what it is. It's fanfare. Is exactly what it is. I'm not taking too much into it. You're playing against a whole bunch of guys who are probably not good enough to start anywhere else, right? Because you're splitting up your starters on 2 teams, and they're also going to have a lot of second string and third string guys that are playing. You got a third string, you know, defensive lineman. They're not going to be necessarily getting pressure on the QB. Simple. Okay. Anyway, JP's next comment there says the Capitals are freaking terrible. Al, grumpy old man.
Spring game college football. Sure, you might laugh at the meaning of it, but wouldn't you rather watch Ohio States of the world against themselves instead of Kent State? No,
because the game.
Well, here's the thing: if Ohio States of the world would schedule actual real teams and not teams like Kent State, sure, I'd enjoy watching that. But a lot of these teams, big tier teams like Auburn, Bama, like to schedule their cupcake games and then only just get by off the coattails of playing a decent conference. That's all.
I think I know why Vardrid over here enjoys the spring games, because just like one of his idols, he can only do anything in games that don't matter.
Oh wow,
man,
that sounds like a cheap shot from X. That sounds like one of those, a personal thing. Joseph C says that Philadelphia team was screwed the minute Hart got suspended. I laugh at how long Torts has been in the league and still can't figure out how to run a power play. Well, I think Tortorella did a great job with Philadelphia this year. I don't think they're very good at all. Gunga says aside from the 10-0 bludgeoning today, the Mets are surprisingly not that flat. Do carbs and sweets make you fat? Yes, they do. Freedom Fund Adventure says, I believe Miami Dolphins will select an offensive lineman in round 1. In round 2, I expect them to trade back. Well, we're going to find out what's going to happen Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yep.
I mean, the NFL, I remember when it was always one day, just Saturday, and it would run a long time, but it was fun to watch. Now it's got to be some type of media spectacular. The picks are in, you're 3-4 picks down, and they got to make sure everybody gets to suck Goodell's left toe, get a big hug from Goodell. They take their time. They're dressed up like circus clowns, and they come out there. It's too much of a show for me. Just do the picks and let's move on.
So they didn't bring out a fan from each team to announce the first pick of the draft? Not
the first pick. That's like for usually day 3. They'll have a legend do day 2, a team legend do day 2, and then they got Joey Schmedlack, who won some type of drawing contest. He bought the team newspaper, and he gets a chance to go to the draft. So that's what happens. Alex Monroe says if Jalen Milroe can have a better offensive line play this upcoming season, he's easily a top 3 Heisman candidate if he stays healthy. Interceptions going down and completion percentage up. Okay. What do you think about Jalen Monroe as a quarterback, X?
Jalen Milroe, I don't think much of him at all. He's a runner. He can't throw the ball. 100%. And he proved that when he played against Michigan.
100% agree. Just like Jalen Hurts when he was with Alabama, same thing. Now, maybe the new coach can develop a quarterback, but Nick Saban certainly couldn't.
Nope.
I mean, Jalen Hurts
always had really good running backs at Alabama, not very good quarterbacks.
And they had good wide receivers, and their quarterbacks were, maybe a little bit above average. But here's the thing. Jalen Hurts could not quarterback Alabama. He had to go to Oklahoma and learn under Lincoln Riley to become actually a serviceable quarterback. And I don't think he's a great quarterback either. Good football player. So. Next, please. Alex Monroe says, no talk about how big of a deal it is that Calipari is in Fayetteville, Arkansas now. We talked about that last week. Jerry Jones and the Walton family, who own Walmart, John Tyson, the owner of Tyson Foods, doing a little talking with their wallets. I think and we talked about this last week. I think it just kind of ran its course in Kentucky, in Lexington. And I think you've already seen a mass exodus from Kentucky as well as Duke this year. 7 guys from Duke went into the portal. A lot of guys have left Kentucky who had committed to Kentucky. Some of them have gone with Calipari to Arkansas, and others have scattered to the wind. So it's a big loss. In college basketball, particularly college basketball recruiting, if you lose a big name coach, you see the recruits leave as well. Yep. That's what happens with VAR. With the NIL rules.
Here's the thing too. The ability to have one and dones win you a championship it's done. You need a lot of second year guys that are talented. It's with name, image, and likeness. You got a lot of guys who are sophomores or juniors that stay one extra year because great, I can get some money doing this and it's a sure thing. So it's like you have to have guys stay at least 1 year in order to be really competitive. I wonder what John Calipari still got left in the tank. Was he like 69 years old?
He's not that old.
How old is John Calipari?
He's probably in his early 60s. I don't think he's that old.
Was he 65? Maybe let me check.
I don't know. I said early 60s probably.
He's 65.
Okay, 65. He can still coach.
Okay. Here you go. My little brother.
You could have thrown any age out there, and Grumpy would have said he could still coach, by the way.
That's true.
Stephanie, he can still coach.
95? Yeah, he still got it.
He's like Holtz out there.
He's dead. Oh, he can still coach.
It doesn't look like he's lost his fastball as a coach. That's all I'm saying. My little brownie says, watching the Avs and Jets, either they're both really, really good or neither team really play much defense. Will the Avs go far with Georgiev and net? No. I think Winnipeg wins this series. They have the better goaltender. This is going to be a fun series to watch. It's
7-5 right now. The game is 7-5.
I mean,
I'm going to agree with you. Not a lot of defense is being played.
Yep.
But I mean, Winnipeg was one of the best defensive teams in the league. It's wide open though. It's going to be a wide open series. This is going to be the most fun to watch. I think we talked about it last week. This is going to be the fun one without a doubt.
Yep. Absolutely.
And aren't you kind of rooting for the Jets over the Avalanche?
I don't care who wins. I just want entertaining hockey. Joseph C.
Analytics had Barclay Goodrow as the Rangers' best player in Game 1, LOL. That's why you don't look at analytics to make a decision on anything.
Yep.
Freedom Front Bench says, Son X, remember when I asked you who watched your sweet dog on a recent trip? You said your fiance's wonderful family, who always treats your pup like family, but Monster TJ wanted him at a kennel.
TJ's evil. TJ's evil.
Yeah. You know what? Bored that dog. That damn dumb dog.
He's a nice little puppy dog.
I like to pick him up and scare him a little bit.
You're just an imbecile.
Stephen V says, with all their firepower, Toronto hasn't scored more than 2 goals in 8 playoff games.
Yikes.
Goon says, TJ.
Hold on, real quick. That's a problem. That's a problem. That needs to be addressed.
It's all Jonathan Tavares, TJ. Come on. It's all John Tavares.
Yeah, that's
everything tightens up come playoff time. You have to be able to score some dirty goals. And they don't have the toughness that they need on that team. But I'd much rather have, I never said it was all Tavares' fault. I'd much rather have the high-end talent and you can backfill with toughness because it's easy to be tough. It's difficult to be skilled. Goon says, TJ, I'm very proud of you that you recently mastered the word. What's the word, TJ?
Shamil.
Schlemiel, not Shamil. Schlemiel. You see the freaking L?
Hey, Grump.
You illiterate son of a bitch.
It's another language.
Now let's try to expand your Yiddish vocabulary further. What's number 1? What is that called?
I don't know.
Tchotchke. There's what's number 2? I know we won't get this.
Mashnegan.
Mashugana.
Mashnegan. What do you just? Let me ask you a question. Do you just look at the first couple of letters and then just make up?
Do you know what the third one is?
I look at a few of the first letters and I say, "Fuck it." Hopefully, this.
You know what the third one is?
He doesn't know that either.
It's Shupa.
What is it?
Chutzpah.
No.
Chutzpah.
Is it Chutzpah?
Yes, it is. It's Chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
Oh, I thought it was Shupa. I said Shupa.
It's like Chutzpah.
Who gives a shit? It's another language. I don't care. I'm not gonna.
I should shoot.
I don't interact.
I just want to know why it took you.
It's all right.
Why it took you like 9 months to pronounce Schlemiel. 9 months, and we went over it 5, 6, 7 times.
Joseph C said here, I'd move Marner at this point. You can't move Thor. Yeah, you're just gonna have to trade away pieces to do that. It doesn't make sense. It's not gonna address the real issue. Grumpy's the one who's not seen it. That's fine. Stephen V says, "Yep, TJ's right. Even if Toronto has to retain or lose a trade, they have to change things up." That's right. That's right. We got Grumpy. That's right. That's right.
Tavares is changing things up.
Nylander isn't going anywhere because he just
resigned. Exactly.
And Marner could actually get you a decent pick haul, even with his salary. Yep, absolutely.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
John Tavares.
James Farrell says Tavares worth more than a 7th round pick, Grumpy. I'm just saying that you're not going to get a whole lot of value for him at this point. Freedom Front Bench says, Grumpy, no one is taking Tavares in his horrible contract. Well, JP just said that absolutely he's worth more than that.
No, it wasn't. Go ahead. Continue, Grumpy.
Unless Toronto retains salary and gives multiple picks to a team acquiring the lying, treacherous weasel Tavares. I disagree.
Here comes Al. He says, Cole Palmer, a.k.a. has just as many goals in the EPL as Ghostly Holland in big games now. Oh, how do you classify big game? Anyway, Ghostly has played 28 games this season before you use that excuse. He's been injured multiple games. Even when he's been playing as of recent, like he was playing in Champions League, he was so healthy that he couldn't play in the FA Cup semifinal game against Chelsea. He's not even. Well, here's the thing. They won 1-0, and Chelsea had multiple chances. They just didn't find a way to do it. Yeah, Cole Palmer.
Chelsea was honestly robbed. There was a handball on a free kick attempt that hit Jack Grealish in the arm that they didn't call.
He stuck his arm up. Yep, but they didn't call it. Again, VAR is designed to be there to help the outcomes that they want. It's that simple. Who's taking Tavares with that cap hit? I don't think there's going to be a lot of suitors involved.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of suitors, but there are people who will take assets to take that contract so they get to the bottom of the floor. Your Chicago's, your Anaheims, your San Jose's, the shitty teams in the league. Absolutely. I think he's got a no-trade clause, which could be problematic, though.
They have to retain a bunch of cap money. Won't get them much if they have if any cap money. Yeah, they're gonna have to retain cap. So it defeats the purpose. JP says here, Toronto's confounding. With all that firepower, they're not scoring more than 2 goals in their last 8 playoff games. Woof. That's a serious problem. Yikes.
Front Venture says, doesn't the Weasel in Toronto possess a no-trade clause?
Yes, he does. That's John Tavares.
Yes.
Make him harder to move. Here you go.
Alex Monroe says, why is it that Holland continues his terrible streak of not showing up to add a goal contribution in a big game? He's not being double-teamed. Center back in Akanji has more touches in the opposing box than he did.
Akanji.
Right. They absolutely
double team
him in the box. Yeah. You're mistaken there. Absolutely they do.
He's been hurt and injured. Let me ask you this. Let's just take a poll around here. Who would you rather have? Darwin, I miss every sitter from 5 foot from the box, Nunez, or Holland? I think the answer is pretty clear and obvious. You'd rather have Holland if he was saying, hey, here's Holland or here's Darwin Nunez. So, again, he's better than the striker you've got. I take Holland on my team any day of the week, especially a healthy or even injured Holland. He's hurt right now. I don't know what else to tell you.
That Liverpool team couldn't even make it past the semis in Euros.
Oh, no.
In Europa League.
Now, this is something I want to put up here. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to see this, but take a look. I want to get your opinions on it.
And lastly, John, so you can enjoy your beloved New York Yankees from home. LG, the official TV of the Yankees, is here to present you with the flagship 80.
I think the box is empty.
LG OLED.
Absolutely, it's empty.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about.
The TV is the entire 2024 New York Yankees team.
Maybe he doesn't have a TV in his house. Players come out. There was a lot of handshaking. John Sterling retiring.
It's okay. It's more the item is I'm like, what a shitty gift. It's not the fact that I'm set to give. Nothing, not a fucking single thing personalized on that gift. You went to fucking Best Buys and picked them up a TV. You couldn't have given it thanks so much. It didn't even have to have monetary value. Something like a few of the people that he impacted and touched and had a good relationship with in the organization over the years. He's 30 fucking years, and you get him a TV when he retires. That's what you give him.
And I think actually he's been there for 35 years.
Even worse.
Okay, but in the Yankees' defense, and I'm not saying it's a great gift. I think it's an empty box. Here's the thing. He retired immediately, I think he has health issues.
Yes.
So he retired, like, I want to say on Saturday or Monday of last week or Tuesday of last week, maybe Wednesday of the previous week. And they just said, okay, we're going to do something for you on Saturday. I mean, I hear he's got health issues. So maybe they just didn't have time to create some type of plaque. They weren't expecting this, and it caught him off guard. Maybe there were some other things he got as well. I don't know.
You couldn't have been like, hey, buddy. I mean, here's the thing. With the haste that they did this, okay, I'll be honest with you. They should have. Oh,
now, it could have been worse if they like pulled the price tag off as hold on, let me get that price tag off of there. That would have been a little bit.
They couldn't have been like, hey, we're going to do this 2 weeks from now. Or we're going to do this 1 week later. You couldn't.
Maybe he doesn't have a week left.
He quit. He said, I'm retiring immediately. It was like that day, I'm done. That's what it was. And it was last week. And it's like, okay, they're going to have something on Saturday. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. But if he's dead in a couple of weeks, it was, pretty.
And guess what? If he lives another 3 or 4 years, what they did for him was wrong. Let me put it like that. Well, if he lives more than the remainder of 2024, this empty, hollow shell of a game. Hey, hopefully you're going to enjoy this watching all these Yankee games the remainder of the season. Yeah.
Okay. Another legendary announcer retired at the end of the year. Jack Edwards, who we talked about earlier in the year, the Boston Bruins play-by-play announcer who really had struggling pronouncing words and every other thing. He retired, and they still don't know what the problem is, but he's having a really difficult time communicating and speaking.
And you know what they got him? They got him a new MacBook Pro. Thanks so much for all your hard work. Here's a MacBook Pro on the organization. Come on, please. You couldn't, with all the resources a multi-million-dollar franchise has.
Probably billion. They're probably worth $1 billion.
You couldn't be like, hey, guys, everybody who's in the area in New York, we're going to have you come in and sign something or do something a little special for them or do anything. Hey, guys, in the clubhouse, we're going to have you write a page note. We're going to have you write a 1-page handwritten letter with a sign at the bottom thanking him for being – couldn't have done anything, not heartfelt. It just seems so corporate. It seems so shitty.
We don't know.
Disgrace for the Yankees.
Okay, we don't know if I'm going to guarantee they did something else besides that.
Yeah, the TV's not in the box. It's actually mounted at his house. That's the only other thing they did for him.
They already sent the installers there to install that.
That's why the box is empty. It's mounted up.
You don't know. So believe me, I'm sure this ceremony they did for him was more than 1 minute and 10 seconds long.
Yeah. They rushed.
It was actually,
get the hell out of here, buddy.
It was actually 1 minute and 30 seconds long because it took him 20 seconds to walk out there on the field.
This is really quickly a finish on the slide because then we'll get back to comments. Man, oh man, right? The White Sox are awful this year. Just take a look.
Throw to second base, a bit high. They're going to get Harper in a rundown. Turner's thinking about going. Turner's coming home. The throw and gets it.
Holy shit, man! It's like children playing. Is he throwing the outfield? Oh god. I was waiting for him to throw it into like right field.
How? I mean, that's like, dude, this is like, what is this, X? This is like 9 and 10-year-old baseball mistakes.
Yes.
I watched the Bad News Bears last night. It's still a great movie.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, I figured that's a bad.
You let him get second base.
Yep.
Something people are upset about real quick. Oh, Mark Stone, who was out to allow the Vegas Golden Knights to acquire more cap space or to have more dead cap they can go over, has been cleared for full contact, and he's back playing for them, for the Vegas Golden Knights. How coincidental, right, for the time of the playoffs.
I think they hold people on there. If somebody's hurt, they're like, we're going to just hold you out. Especially if they know their team's making it in, they hold their guys out. Like, we're just going to keep you on the IL for a little bit.
I agree. That's the way the CBA is. Until they change the rules, teams are going to be able to do that.
Yep.
Alex Monroe goes, TJ really called Pep Guardiola a historical loser. And I think that may be the dumbest words I've ever heard him say. Pep's won like 40 trophies and won the treble with 2 different teams in Barca and Bayern.
Okay, here's the thing, right?
I think he's
a historical loser. He is. I don't dislike Pep. I don't dislike Man City. I don't dislike Barcelona. I don't dislike Bayern Munich. I don't dislike Pep Guardiola. He wins. Look at all those trophies. He is a very good regular season coach.
Yep, good
I'll
coach
use
for
that
league.
term.
That's it.
He's a good league coach. When you play 38 games over a season, he is going to be a guy who is able to get you prepared, have you up and running, make sure that you're playing the best football you can be playing at that time period. In big games, it's the reason why they always lose, despite usually being favored in Champions League. Think about that. He only won one Champions League trophy with that magical Barcelona squad where he had Ronaldinho, he had Messi, he had Xavi, he had Iniesta, multiple top-tier players. Never won a damn trophy for Bayern Munich for the Champions League. Would always clean up and take the best team to win a lot of those little league trophies. And he did the same thing with City. But when it comes down to winning the best team in the world and a one or a two game event where you've got to showcase we're the best team out there, you just can't do it.
Okay. You would have to say he's probably one of the top 3 coaches in the world.
I'd say top 5, sure.
Okay. Well,
he's just a loser.
I think what TJ's saying is he's a choke artist when it comes to Champions League.
What's the team that he usually loses to?
Real
Madrid. Every team. Real Madrid almost feel like the Champions League is their. It's like the Real Madrid Invitational. A lot of times they win something. But I mean, Real Madrid has made it to the semifinals 12 of the last 14 years of Champions League.
Think about this. Remember when they went ahead and they just flopped 2 years ago? They had a 2-goal lead with how many seconds left or how many minutes left remaining in the game? To Real. And Manchester City, with their huge team, with their amazing budget, found a way to lose that. They just always find ways to lose. And for a team with a transfer budget of like £200 million a year, you can't be losing games like that. Sorry.
It's actually more than that with financial fair play.
I'll say one thing going into next year, because I think the 2 best teams, I think Manchester City this year is better than Madrid because of Madrid's injuries and their lack of a true striker up top. What you're going to find going forward, Real Madrid is just going to dominate world football.
If they get Mbappe, yeah.
Yeah, because all their guys are young, very young, like all younger than 25 years old. So they're just scratching the surface of how good they're going to be, where Man City's getting a little bit long in the tooth in certain spots. So I think if you were going to beat them, this was the year, and they didn't do it. They didn't even deserve to beat Inter Milan last year in the finals. They did not.
If Inter Milan didn't have Lukaku on their team, who was pretty much a 12th man for Manchester City, they would have won.
Yeah.
They would have won.
This time in here, Rump.
JP says, although it's hard to say Toronto smoked after one bad game, their recent history is not good, however. Yeah, they don't match up with Boston. And that's what happens a lot of these series. It's like it's matchups, right? Same thing in football. It's always a matchup. Which team matches up better? Boston too physical for Toronto. Toronto's not a team that, they'll blow out a lesser team who's a finesse team, but they ain't beaten. Boston just has their number. They just do. Drew says, let's see if Manfred signs Bauer now after the latest video I sent TJ.
It's I haven't had a chance to read it or look at it, but apparently that Trevor Bauer is going to be countersuing the lady who went ahead and accused him falsely. So
good. I hope he wins.
I don't know. It doesn't like what. Oh, fuck.
He should include Major League Baseball and Bud Selig, not Bud Selig, Manfred. Absolutely should. Alex also adds, X will like this. Compare the J.G. McCarthy pre-draft talk to the Will Levis pre-draft talk last year. Not the arm strength, the similar talk of doubt, uncertainty that loomed over both of them.
Will Levis is a god. J.J. McCarthy is not.
Going to be first overall pick, baby.
He went first overall in the second round. That is correct.
Yep. Hey, I was right. Told you. I was just wrong on the round. I told you he was going first overall, though.
Milo Brownie says, Grump, our guy wins again. Our
Max
boy
Verstappen
wins the Chinese Grand Prix earlier today.
Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen.
Really don't see him being dethroned this racing season. He's really good.
He's good.
How much money do you think China paid to get a Grand Prix race over there?
A lot. How much money do you think Las Vegas paid to get the race there?
Not as much as China.
Okay. All righty. Continue on here. JP.
Toronto actually has some good defensemen. Palat Edmondson, Riley, etc., and Toronto out-hit Boston last night. You know what they don't do? They don't outscore Boston because their goaltending sucks. Samsonov was a disaster last night.
Let's listen real quick.
Sexual assault just got indicted for committing felony fraud against me. Imagine that. Let me catch up.
Pause it for a second.
In the last 3 years, 2 women have taken legal action.
Is he living out of a hotel room somewhere?
Remember, he's playing in Mexico.
So yeah, he probably is.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume he probably is not living in his home. Okay. It's not like he's living a lavish luxury right now. Grmpy, he's playing in Mexico, I believe, right now.
All right.
Against me. Lindsay Hill started all this. You may remember her from this video as the girl who set me up and lied to the world in an attempt to take my money. Well, today, the only other one, Darcy Adana Asimonu, has been criminally indicted for committing felony fraud against me and another man. So now she's facing up to 16 years in prison. Her claims are even more absurd than Lindsay's were. So here's some of the details. We had one plain sexual encounter in December of 2020. Nothing that could be considered remotely rough. She initiated it, but don't take my word for it. Take hers. There's a picture and text message she sent me the next morning explaining why she came on to me. And for months afterwards, she repeatedly requested to sleep with me again. For example, this text from January 7th, 2021. At one point, she even requested a sample of my sperm so she could have my child whenever she wanted to in the future. Ooh. Now, it's hard to keep track, but she's made at least 4 7-figure demands over the last few years. More than a year after the one time we slept together, and only after Lindsay Hill made up her false allegations, Adana retained a lawyer. She then demanded $3.6 million and claimed I forced her to have an abortion, leaving her emotionally devastated and irretrievably damaged by it. But here's the thing. She never had an abortion because she was never even pregnant, and that's corroborated by her own medical records. When I refused to pay her the $3.6 million she was asking for, she made up a bogus sexual assault claim and filed a civil suit against me. In that version,
I'll be honest with you, Trevor Bauer needs to watch out and be more selective with who he's determining to have relations with.
Yes. He's going out with the wrong type of women.
Is he married?
No.
No.
I thought he had a wedding on his hand. Look at his hand, though. His left hand. Look at his hand.
I don't know. I can't.
He's got a ring on
her
it.
Story. She claimed for the first time, by the way,
in front of the camera
that there was non-consensual sex. But her texts from the next morning show what actually happened. Remember this text in which she explains why she came on to me? She also claims that instead of an abortion, she actually had a miscarriage. But that's impossible, of course, because, again, she was never even pregnant. We now have emails between her and the first 2 law firms that dropped her in which they acknowledge they never had any evidence to support her claims, but they'll try to get my money anyway. I then shared an audio recording I have in which Adana contradicts her own claims and asks me for money. In the emails, her lawyers agreed that that's insurmountable evidence, and they inform Adana that they can no longer represent her unless she can provide documentation or proof of her claims. And of course, she couldn't do that, so the law firm urged her to consult other law firms with different standards. Now, Adana has filed more than 10 police reports claiming sexual assault or harassment against other men, including at least one other professional athlete. But after the Scottsdale police completed their investigation into her claim against me, she's the one being indicted for felony fraud. And not just against me, against another man as well. She made up bogus sexual assault claims and attempted to extort him too. And it gets worse. In my lawsuit against her, we subpoenaed a witness whom she knew for relevant documents to use in our case. And when she found out, she immediately made sexual assault claims against him too. Her MO is clear. Lie to men to get their money.
Okay, I think we've got enough.
Okay. She should be forced to wear a shirt that says, "Don't bang me."
Alrighty, Grmpy.
That should be her punishment. She always has to wear that shirt like Hester Prynne had to wear the A for adulteress, way back in the day.
Or maybe she should go to prison for false accusation of sexual assault.
No, because she can still do her shenanigans when she gets out. She should be branded, maybe a tattoo.
No, he's like Trevor Bauer. By the way, I didn't know this. He set a Mexican League record, striking out 9 batters in a row. In a game where he struck out 14. He's still, dude, the fact that they won't let this guy play and he's blackballed is absolutely criminal.
It's sickening.
He should sue the league.
He should. He absolutely
honestly
should.
I think he's trying to play nice right now, and then as soon as they don't allow him in,
as a professional athlete, there's only so much finite time you could be a top-tier player.
Well, that's what I think he's going to do. He's trying to get on a team right now this year, and I think if it doesn't happen, he's going to end up suing the league.
I hope he wins. I hope he bankrupts those sack of shits, just like I hope Gruden bankrupts the NFL.
Damn, how do you think the Dodgers would be able to afford Ohtani, Captain Gamble, and Trevor Bauer's lawsuit?
16 million, baby. Did notice 16 million leaving his accounts. Please tell me that. Tell me another lie.
Maybe they're going to have to use some of Otani's contract and gamble it to try and get the money to pay off Trevor Bauer.
The fact that he had his contract terminated by MLB and the Dodgers before he was proven anything happened is, to me, that's grounds for getting that money. He should absolutely sue them. It's not guilty till proven innocent in this country. It's innocent till proven guilty. That's disgraceful. But I 100% agree with TJ. Matter of fact, he should go to one of those things that sets you up on dates because he can't do it himself. He picks the wrong woman every time.
You know what I got, Grumpy? This is what I think about Otani, the $16 million. The unnoticed $16 million of missing money. Yeah, Grumpy. This is for Grumpy, the old music.
Tell me sweet little lies. There it is. Yep, Little Lies. I knew that song.
Marty, when do they get to the chorus?
Lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Oh, no, you can't disguise.
They had some issues in that band too. Do it, X. Do the neck. Look at X doing the neck.
There it is. Get it. It's been a while since we jammed out on the show. So
well, that happens when the tyrant's in charge. No fun. No fun zone.
No more music again.
You know they call it the no-fly zone? It's the no-fun zone here.
All righty. Al.
How many quarterbacks go in the first round of the draft this Thursday? 5, 6? I think there'll be 5.
Too many.
I don't think Bo Nix is going to go in the first round. I can't see it.
Who are your 5 that you have going?
Williams, Ramsey, May, McCarthy, and Penix.
That I could see all that. Bo Nix Daniels early second. Daniels, yes.
Daniels. I said Daniels second.
You said Ramsey.
Oh, goddamn! I call him Jalen Ramsey all the time. You know what? Here's the thing.
Just like talking Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback.
Jalen Ramsey,
Jake McCarthy, and Justin Bellingham.
Justin Bellingham.
I called him Jake. I called him Jake.
It was Jake Bellingham. God,
okay. Here's the thing.
Grumpy, I think you need to retire from your announcing.
Jalen Ramsey is probably going to be just as good a quarterback as Jalen Daniels. That's what
There we go.
Stephen V says the Coyotes / Utah might take on Tavares for his last year. There will be a team that will take on his salary. Alex goes, allegedly, according to a report by ESPN's Jeremy Schaap, Bob Kraft reached out to Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank to warn him from hiring Belichick. That's true. It was actually, the guy who wrote a book, Seth Wickersham, who was the guy who wrote that story, and Jeremy Schaap just picked up on it because I don't think he has any sources. Supposedly that was the case, and Belichick kind of was thrown under the bus by Bob Kraft. So, true. Okay, Alex Monroe says, in the first 3 weeks of legal gambling in North Carolina, people wagered over $655 million.
Not shocked.
How many people are going to go broke from gambling?
A lot.
Because guess what?
It's an addiction. It's an addiction for a lot of people.
The gambling people do not lose money. Nope. They do not lose money. They win.
They just manipulate the outcome.
Okay. James Farrell says, guys, you see the new Mets uniforms.
Yes, they're Stadium Series uniforms.
Yep. I have not seen them. They look sharp.
TJ to pull them up. They look all right. Oh, they look okay. Or Subway Series, Stadium Series. I don't even know what the heck they're called.
X, I just want to say I find it hard that you fall for these tricks from Freedom Fun Adventure. He says, X will delete this comment, but I can't believe we live in a world where there are student athletes who get scholarships, rings, school gear, everything real athletes do for playing freaking video games.
Yep, there are people like that. Yep.
Drew says, Yankees still seem to be hot. The only concern I have with them is if injuries derail that team. I feel like they don't have a lot of depth on the backup side of things. But you know what they have? They have Juan Soto, who is so much better than Aaron Judge. It's not even freaking fun.
Aaron Judge was getting booed recently for his, what was it? I think he had like 4 strikeouts or something.
4 strikeouts in a row yesterday. Yeah, he's not been good this year. He's hitting under 200. He's not been good.
Well, he got paid. Now he feels like he doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Wow. Shocker, right? The biggest year of his career is the year that he has to get his contract extension, right?
Yep.
Wow.
It's always funny how that stuff works out.
Shocking. And now he's playing like hot garbage. Crazy, right?
Yep. Joseph C says, JJ McCarthy's the only guy I don't get all the hype about. They didn't even throw the ball at Michigan. Yeah.
Agreed.
They never put the ball in his hands where he had to. They were always winning all the time. He didn't have to do anything special.
He was handing the ball off.
Yeah. I mean, he completed some passes. I just don't think he's that great.
He sucks.
I just don't. I'm not going to say sucks. I'm just saying he's overrated. Alex Monroe says MLS implements new initiatives. Injured players who are down for 15 seconds must leave the field and remain over for 2 minutes. Subbed players have 10 seconds to leave. Otherwise, the new player must wait 60 seconds to enter.
Yeah, I'm going to say these rules are only going to be implemented for certain players and certain teams, and other players are just being allowed to lay on the ground like they're dead. So we'll see if it's implemented for all teams and all players, because I'd love to see some people pull the stop clock out on certain teams and see how long their guys are laying on the ground for. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, I think they'll be selective when they implement.
Yep. And then that's going to be an issue, because if I was the coach of another team and this guy was laying on the ground for more than 15 seconds, they sure as shit better take his ass off the field for the amount of time.
Very interesting, X. Alex Moreau says over 21,000 fans attended yesterday's women's hockey game between Toronto and Montreal. A world record for a women's hockey game. Women's sports are on the rise, Grump. No, they're not. Drew says Bleacher Report literally only reports fake news 80% of the time. Well, they do have to put out a lot of context. They do. Alex Monroe says Bo Nix to Denver in the first round, reunited with former Auburn quarterback Jarrett Stidham. I'd be stunned if Bo Nix went to Denver.
Yeah.
If Bo Nix goes in the top 15 picks in the draft, something's really wrong.
Yes.
Yep.
Alex Monroe says, why is everybody a bust, TJ?
Because the quarterbacks this year aren't that good. You have years where quarterbacks are really good, and you have years where quarterbacks are really bad. They're not really bad this year. They're just not really good, if that makes sense.
Remember, everybody thought, 2019, the Trevor Lawrence year, that all these quarterbacks are coming out in the draft. Oh, they're going to be so great. They're going to be so good.
Mac Jones.
All of them suck.
This, quarterback that.
TJ,
all of them suck, with the exception of maybe Trevor Lawrence. Maybe Trevor Lawrence.
TJ, let's learn podcast etiquette. When X is talking, please be quiet.
That's fine. I don't care.
The question was directed towards me, so I figured I'd answer it. But
your comment was insufficient, so X took over to bail you out. And in that year with Trevor Lawrence, there was 5 quarterbacks who went in the top 15. So
yeah, what was it? Jordan Love, Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson.
What about Trey Lance?
Did I not say Trey Lance?
I don't know.
Well, you say this is which year? Was it 2018 or
it was 2019 or 2020? I think it was.
Right,
it doesn't matter.
2019 or 20. I think it was a 2020 draft.
It doesn't matter. The only guy who's been remotely successful has been Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. All the rest suck.
Alex Monroe says, why is there so much hate for Jalen Daniels? He put up unreal numbers in the SEC and won the Heisman. If LSU had half a defense, they might have been in the playoff. DJ?
Hold on. I had to correct because this is wrong, what you guys are saying. So it was the 2021 NFL draft. Okay. Just to really quickly, and I'll answer that. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, right? And then you had Justin Fields, you had Mac Jones, and then later on you had I don't think actually I think
Love went in 2020, I think.
Yes. So this is just Mac Jones, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, and Trevor Lawrence. Okay, those 5 quarterbacks.
And let's be honest, all of them are not great.
All of them are hyped a lot too. Why is there so much hate for Jalen Daniels? He put up unreal numbers at the SEC and won the Heisman. If LSU had half the defense, they'd be in the playoffs. Here's the thing. He threw to multiple big-time receivers. Look at the receivers he has and look at where they're projected to go. That matters. Anytime you're throwing the great wideouts, they get open. You just bomb the ball out. You're going to do it. Anytime he runs, he's the guy who has happy feet. He likes to go ahead and try to leave the pocket anytime he can. His footwork is shit. His throwing motion is not repetitive. It's very, very inconsistent. It's the reason why he sails balls as well. And it's the reason why anytime he leaves the pocket, he gets broken in half like paper mache.
How did Anthony Richardson do this year?
Awful.
He wound up getting concussed, and then he, like I
Pulled
said,
shoulder up.
running
Wow,
quarterback.
shocking, right? Because that's the same shit that's going to happen to Jaden Daniels.
You can't be a running quarterback in the NFL. Defenses are too fast. They hit too
Guys
hard.
hit way too hard.
You can have guys. All right, Josh Allen's different, right? He's 6'6", 250 pounds, whatever he is. Same thing with Cam Newton when he was doing it.
They're like tight ends playing quarterback.
Yeah. Well, you see the skinny guys get beat up. You see Mahomes, he can run. Joe Burrow can run. Justin Herbert can run. But the safest place is to be in the pocket. Sometimes you have to escape, right? But you don't want to get out there just let's run and take a hit. It's dumb. And those guys get hurt. Alex Moreau says, I remember a certain Joe Burrow was surrounded by unreal weapons in Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and a pretty good defense. LSU tied an NFL draft record of 14 players selected for a reason, fellas. Yeah, that team was really, really good.
Yes.
Really good. This LSU team was not as good as that one.
Okay. Yep.
And also, didn't Joe Burrow make it to a Super Bowl?
Joe Burrow didn't make his living and career off of scrambling out of the pocket. He made it out of sitting in the pocket and throwing and dropping dimes.
Yeah.
That's a very easy, repeatable thing to do. It's why, again, why do mobile quarterbacks get a lot of hate? Because if you're reliant upon, hey, when the athletes are smaller, when they're slower and they don't hit as hard, I'm able to run the ball around. When they get bigger, faster, and hit harder, the likelihood you continue to run the ball at the same efficiency decreases. That's why.
Yeah, Justin Fields a really good mobile quarterback. How good's he done with the Bears?
Okay, here's Al.
For as much as y'all love to hate Man United and Ten Hag, they really now won one trophy and are up in another cup final, given they've had 60 players injured at some point. 60 players injured at some point in the season. That's not too damn bad.
60 players missed
injuries
games
in total.
I had 60, and if like, hey, I had the flu and I missed a game, they count that as an injury.
I don't think that it's unfair to say that Manchester United has really been a failure with him as coach.
Yes.
Or where they've been in the past. That's all I'll say.
When your team has a $200 million transfer budget every single summer and you finish 7th in league play, you're not going to keep your job.
Every
They're
team
fine for
faces
me to-
injuries. That's not an excuse. Name me one team that hasn't had a single injury this year to a starter. Name me one.
Real Madrid had their starting goaltender and their starting and probably the best center defender out all year long. So
Okay, here we go.
Alex also adds, Man United currently have one healthy center back and Harry Maguire compared to their 7 total center backs on the active roster.
Again, injuries are part of the game. Sorry.
Drew says, seeing TJ, Grmpy, and X all collectively arguing with one another is peak entertainment.
There we go, baby. There we go.
Drew also says, if we can go to the next comment, please, X. Son X said, someone should ring his bell one time. Maybe then he'll get some sense knocked into him. CTESPN.
Antonio Brown. That's what that is, Grumpy.
AB, baby.
Well,
Give him a little AB special.
You did hear that Caitlin Clark has banned Antonio. He blocked Antonio Brown. He was talking some shit about her this week. Just when you think Antonio Brown is dead and buried, he crawls out of the grave.
Well, here's the thing. He's not. He is on the social media. He has really picked up a lot. This CTESPN thing that he's doing is great. A lot of times I'm laughing my ass off here. Oh my God.
I just think just when you think he's done and buried, he somehow gets his name back in just
X, remove that comment real quick. These are the type of things he's got. This is he posted this. So it says, he posted it. He says, Antonio Brown has been suffering from CTE ever since that hit from Vontaze Burfict. Changed my mind. Oh my jeez. Wow, it says, D'Angelo, look at this. I'm telling you, he's God almighty. He's just doing something else. Hold on a second. Let's listen here.
And been at it for almost a decade now. You done seen players start off fast, start wheezing in the back. Let's talk.
Look what's on his finger, by the way. Look at the hell that is.
Receivers. You know what I mean? You an elite receiver. Oh, here go the list right here. First guy. I'm going to ask you, is he all right? He's all right. He's all right. Yeah.
At this point,
wow.
I kind of enjoy laughing a little bit at Antonio Brown because he's fun to laugh at, kind of with. Some of his stuff is dead on. Other things I'm just like, I'm laughing at you. But there's always laughter anytime I'm looking and observing for Antonio Brown. So I'm happy he hasn't disappeared yet.
I think it would be
Okay, Grump.
I think it would be exhausting to have him in a room for too long.
Yes,
I honestly feel bad for him.
I do too.
We taking notes. I like how he's kind of like playing into it a little bit too, but it's just like, oh Jesus H. I tell you, he's.
I mean, can you? How can anyone actually read what you're putting? You're just. I don't know what the hell you're doing.
I don't need to like. It's here's the thing.
What the hell are you looking at?
Antonio Brown. Long story short, there's a lot of things that I'm not going to show up there on there, but I enjoy his tweets. It's crazy.
What happened with Caitlin Clark this week, which forced her to ban him?
He said somebody was commenting on it. It's like he mentioned he's like she looks like she keeps it hairy. I'm like, God Almighty!
Oh my God.
I could not believe he said that, like unprovoked. I'm like, hold on, I'll try to pull up. And then he like tweeted as like she blocked me or something like that. Like Antonio Brown, I'm like, God Almighty, that was one of the ones where I'm like, ooh, buddy, come on,
She
Antonio
looked
Brown.
like she keeps it hairy.
She keep it, hold on, it's all over the place. Yeah, Jesus, this is it. This is now he's just like reveling in it because he just likes Kane Clark looks like she keep it hairy. CT ESPN never beats around the bush. CT ESPN, the number one follow. CT ESPN. Hold on. Oh, hold on. This is actually a network of his. I thought he was just doing CT ESPN as a joke. I didn't know this is an actual thing he has. Followed by Drew. Okay, gotcha. I got to be kept up in the loop with
hold on. How many followers does he have?
He's got over almost 100,000.
I thought it said 15. Oh, 15. Oh, okay.
He follows 15. He's got 95,000. I didn't know that was an actual thing. I thought he just was putting the hashtag CTESPN to make,
broke down the Cliston.
Caitlin Clark's Bush news days before anybody else. Like, I like how he's making the edit that his company put out. God Almighty. That's the reason why. I'm wondering what led him to that because he said something where it was just like, look at this shit. Make Bush great again. Like, look at this. I'm telling you, he's just God Almighty. Anyway, okay, I'm done.
I can see why she blocked him. Honestly,
I would block him as well.
And here's the thing: I don't know if she was offended by that comment, but it's like, okay, this guy's got loose cannon written all over.
If he's talking about my pelvic area, and what I'm like, don't need to be bothering keeping this guy still here. James F. Grumpy.
Guys, your thoughts on quarterbacks on Rattler?
Rattler, I think is what it's supposed to be.
Oh, Rattler. Okay, maybe Rattler or Milton. I think Rattler has career backup written all over him.
Yep.
And Joe Milton has less than that.
Yeah, Spencer. I mean, he showed a couple of good games with South Carolina this last year. Rattler did, like against Georgia. He started out really well in that game.
He went back right to college?
No, he's out in the draft.
He's entering the draft. Spencer Rattler's entering the draft this year.
I thought he put the transfer portal.
Dude, he's like a senior. He's like either he was either a junior or a senior last year.
I thought he was going back.
No, he's in the draft. I think he'll be making okay backup. I think he's limited physically. Joe Milton can throw the ball 1,000 miles an hour. That's it. No for him. He's not making it. Kid from Tennessee. No.
It's gonna be no for me, dog.
Thanks, Randy Jackson. Appreciate it. Joseph C. goes, Jim Harbaugh keeps talking McCarthy up. That's what is helping his draft stock. And also, if McCarthy goes early in the draft, it means that the Chargers can peddle their pick for more value. I think he also got a tattoo this week that said 15-0.
It said Michigan. Yeah, you got a Michigan tattoo this week. Yep.
JP, and Michigan was also put on probation by the NCAA.
How coincidental.
Yeah, kind of interesting. JP says, X was correct. I'm talking about Canada's Jets. I'm not masochistic enough to root for the New York Jets.
You're welcome.
Look at that. Alex Moreau says, X doesn't know what he's talking about as per the usual. City go to Brighton, Fulham, Tottenham to end the Premier League season. All Arsenal and Liverpool need is a Man City draw.
Yeah, Brighton and Fulham are like, I think they play 3 teams that are 10, 11, and 12, which is middle of the table. The only team they play against is Tottenham. That's worth anything. Arsenal and Liverpool both have to play, or at least I know Arsenal has to play Tottenham and
Chelsea,
Aston Villa.
Tottenham, Bournemouth, and Man United. So out of the last 4 games, Chelsea's pretty decent. They're mid-table, though. Tottenham, and then that mighty Eric Ten Hag squad there in Man United.
And then Liverpool have to play Aston Villa and Tottenham still.
Yep.
Which is
mighty Everton.
Number 4 and number 5. So I'd say Man City has an absolute way easier road to the finish
Brighton,
than
Nottingham Forest, Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wolverhampton?
Yes, Wolverhampton Wanderers. And then Fulham, and then Tottenham, and West Ham last game of the year.
Okay, so
Who cares? Next comment.
Easy
Who
schedule.
cares?
Easier schedule.
Let's move on. Derek Monroe, back from the dead, says, keep sleeping on Arsenal in the Premier League title race. Love to hear it.
Yeah, well, they've got Chelsea, Tottenham, and Man United the last.
No, we won't keep sleeping on. We'll have to keep performing the Heimlich on them because they consistently choke.
How many games are left in Premier League?
4.
Only 4 games left? Okay.
Yep.
Are you sure it's only 4?
Yep, 34 weeks in. Burnley has 4 games left. If you're up to date on your games played, you got 4 games remaining.
Well, some teams are at 32 and 33.
Goon says, do the Islanders have any hope? Is it hard to cope? X, do the Islanders have any hope of winning and beating Carolina? I'm not even going to say winning a Stanley Cup. I think that would be like a Stanley Cup is beating Carolina.
I think they're too afraid of the Storm.
Ooh, storm front. I like it. TJ, any hope for the Islanders?
Monday determines if there's any hope.
There's no hope. Drew goes, Knicks winning in 5 games. People don't realize this is the only reason Philly was in that game was because Brunson shot 8 for 26. It doesn't matter.
Shooting 8 for 26 is not good.
He said, plus Joel Embiid isn't healthy. He just re-aggravated his knee injury again. Embiid also chokes in the playoffs like an annual holiday.
Goodness gracious.
Honestly, let's be honest. If the Boston Celtics should walk to the NBA Finals, and if they play Denver, I think Denver is the only team that can beat them. Because I just think that Joker is on another plane from everyone else.
Another planet?
Another plane. Just up here, everyone's here. Another plane. So I think that'd be the series everyone wants to see. Boston has to be the favorite to win the championship, right? Best team in the league by far. Yep. They should walk through the East. Just walk. X must have thought Auburn was playing Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Slovakia, Iceland, Bosnia, Czech. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what. That's Czechia is not a team in the Euro qualifiers since those tough games matter a ton.
Last time I checked, they count, don't they? They're not friendly.
Oh man. Here it is. It's funny. Maybe you can go score some more against the miserable MLS.
Al Monroe says, Ghosty can't play in the finals is why Holland didn't play today. Man City better without him anyways this season.
Well, it wasn't a final that they played yesterday. It was the semifinals game. He's hurt. He's been hurt all year. All year has been battling injury.
JP says, say what you will talk about the lack of D, but that Jets-Avs game moved 2.5 to 3 times faster than any other game won so far.
Sure.
It was good. Entertaining, right?
Yep. It moved about 10 times faster than our game.
The NHL would love to see hockey played like that every single night. Every single night.
Viewership would be even higher than it's ever been.
You want to know the problem is you don't have enough players where they can play like that every single night.
I thought you were about to say the problem is you got teams like the Islanders who play the way they play.
Well, it's because the Islanders don't have enough talent. Those teams are really talented offensively.
True.
Joseph C. says, could have done better than a television for John, considering he worked with them for 35 years.
Come on, buddy. Come on now. Yes, I think that's right.
John Sterling.
James F.
What'd you say?
They gave a crap TV like LG to John Sterling. They could have given him a Sony TV. Yeah, he should have got a better TV.
There you go. There's Al.
He says, contrast to Burnley on their win against last place Sheffield. Sheffield is close to being the worst team in Premier League history with goal differential.
Thank you for the congratulations, Al. We'll take that. Here you go.
Venture says, Son X, TJ tried saying Noah Dobson hasn't developed his upper body strength in all his years in the league because of his thin build. Apparently, the Islanders lack a strength program. Agree? Noah needs more gym effort?
I don't know. I feel like they sometimes got bodied off the puck in the game that I watched yesterday. So, yeah, I'd say they need more gym effort.
Would you say that Noah Dobson in particular needs more gym effort.
I mean,
Just
I don't know what he looks. I'll just say, yeah, sure.
Okay. Freedom Fun
Just-
Adventure. He doesn't watch that close. Freedom Fun Adventure says, next comment, please.
X, get on it, motherfucker.
Grumpy.
Dude, I am.
Grumpy, Toronto went out over 2 seasons to add toughness, including Ryan Reeves. It doesn't matter. They need toughness with guys who can actually play. How about a car for John Sterling? How about it? Pep won 2 UCLs with Barca and 1 with Man City. Wake up.
Wake up, TJ.
So you want that's pathetic.
None with Bayern. None with Bayern.
This is what Noah Dobson looks like, Grump. In case you're curious.
Hell yeah, he needs to hit the weight room, dude. He's got twigs for arms.
Yeah, but you look what he's got on one arm, X.
What does she weigh? About 10 pounds?
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Hockey players are not big builded. They're not big in nature. He's a skinny guy.
Yeah.
His build is not that to be a huge guy. He's better like a pigeon chest. I don't know what you want me to say. Oh, let's go ahead and
They're
add
all
40
in shape
for the
though.
summer.
They're all in shape.
That's correct.
All.
Yes.
For your fun adventure goes, TJ, I'm not asking you to name a specific guy or two for the Islanders to acquire. Name a couple of guys that you think would like the Islanders to get similar guys to them. I would love a Kachuk style forward.
I don't know if we're just supposed to be like a wish list that has no possibility in realm and reality, or this is something that's supposed to be, reality based. Because I'd love guys like McDavid and Draisaitl on the team and things like that, and Kachuk like players. I'd love those guys on the team. Those are guys that can win you something. I'd love defensemen like Victor Hedman. I love goalies like Vasilevsky. That's what I'd love to see on this team, but it's not realistic. So I'm not sure if you're looking for a realistic answer or just what I would dream of.
Joseph C. says, the thing is, the more Trevor Bauer talks, the more he's hurting his chances of getting a major league job back. I'll tell you what, that he should just sue them for all his money back. I don't see how they cannot let him back in the league. Here's what happens. They talk to all the league owners and they're like, you don't want this guy. There's absolute collusion because if you have talent, you'll be signed.
Yes. Kind of like how Belichick talked to Atlanta and said, hey, you don't want, or how Kraft talked to Atlanta and said, hey, you don't want Belichick as a coach. I mean, kind of the exact same thing as that. Everything
that Robert Kraft has done, and he's finished now as an owner. You listen to him talk. You know how people, when they get older, that's how they talk. Well, I think
notice that's how they talk, Grumpy. I
Bob
hear
Kraft, you can tell when somebody's finished. Just listen to the way they talk.
Jake Bellingham. We know.
And right now, Jonathan Kraft is running the Patriots, I feel.
It's maybe why they're terrible.
And he wants to get in the Hall of Fame so bad before he dies. He thought the dynasty thing was going to help him. I think it hurt him. And I think going out talking shit about Bill Belichick is hurting him. I think hiring Gerard Mayo is going to hurt him in the long run. I just think he's made a lot of mistakes. You let Brady go. You let Belichick go. He tries to intimate that he's part of the reason why the Patriots are so good. He's full of shit. He's the cheapest owner in the league. You don't want to spend a nickel. His GM came out this week. He said that they tried to sign Calvin Ridley, but this is right out of Robert Kraft's mouth. We wanted Calvin Ridley, but his girlfriend, it's actually his wife, just wanted to stay in the South. So that's why he didn't come here. Elliot Wolf, who's the GM, the de facto GM of the Patriots, says, well, no, another team just offered him more money because they just don't like to spend money. They don't like to spend actual money.
Well, that's okay, Grump. We're going to try to stay on topic, Grump.
Okay, sure. Freedom Front Event says, wow, that TV is a horrible gift. Hoping they frame some memorabilia or helping out with medical bills, a trip to help him make memories, sending grandkids to school, something. Yeah, we don't know. I'm sure he got more than just a TV. I'm certain of that.
He got an empty LG box.
Freedom Front Adventure, the punter the Bills drafted and then cut immediately for alleged sexual assault.
And that was Matt Ariza, just as a memory.
Hasn't gotten a tryout, even though as far as I know, he was cleared. He was. Doesn't make sense based on guys guilty who play. It's true. It's true. Drew says, I mean, just think about the guys they let play and they beat up their children, smack their wives around. There's one thing in common. I don't know. I have a feeling that J.J. McCarthy is just Kenny Pickett with a better arm. I don't even think his arm is that great.
Yeah. It's.
Where's TJ's mic stand?
It broke, and I'm trying to fix it. Who gives a shit? I gotta get it fixed. I gotta reassemble it. So
Milo Brownie says, as sports gambling becomes more normalized, will Pete Rose get into the hall, or is that ship sailed and sank? I think he will eventually get into the hall, but they're going to wait till he's dead.
I think that too.
That's some BS too.
If he died tomorrow, they'd be like, okay, gotcha. Let's put him in the Hall of Fame. Maybe take a year or two after he's
And
dead.
it's
But
these holier than thou writers who wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
They have every vice that you could possibly think, and those are the moral police that judge who should be what. Just disgraceful. The Dixon Way. I don't know who this is. Hello, Dixon Way. First time.
Just subbed to the channel. Like the channel there.
channel.
Keep grinding from one content creator to the other. Thanks, Dixon Way. Appreciate the support. Freedom Fun Adventure, Grumpy.
One thing that would improve Bauer's life would be to stop sleeping with ugly girls. I don't know if they're ugly, but I mean,
Stop sleeping around.
They all got those crazy ass
ugly as
eyes.
people. They're ugly as people.
Look at the crazy
TJ. Gruden was screwed so hard by the NFL. Yes, he was.
Absolutely.
And he's bringing a legal suit against him.
He is bringing. He'll win.
Drew L says, "Nah, CT ESPN is a real thing. I think he even sells merchandise under the same name. I guess it's Antonio Brown. You throw so much shit out there, eventually something's going to stick." He says, "I still remember the clip with Spencer Rattler being an absolute dickhead to his teammates in high school at practice. Let's just hope he's grown up from that experience."
QB1. That was the Netflix special that they did for the QBs coming out into college.
Is Antonio Brown a man of the people? Is TJ as tall as a steeple?
No and no.
Well, there we go. Here you go. Derek Monroe, Grumpy.
Grump, Arsenal are in the same category as Madrid when it comes to youth on their current squad and being built to dominate for the foreseeable 5 to 8 years. I don't think their talent is anywhere near as good as Real Madrid's.
Agreed.
Here's the thing, too. They've never won anything. Real Madrid's still winning things.
Yeah.
What has Arsenal won? Nothing. Yeah.
Dungats on a stick.
Good.
Is Thursday night show confirmed? Will Otani's translator squirm? I think X and I, if TJ's too gutless to get on here.
That's him, too gutless.
I don't think he wants to have a take on quarterbacks because he's always wrong.
I just gave him a take on all of them.
But we like the fact that Sun X is a master prognosticator when it comes to where people are going.
Yeah, I'm not going to be great at flipping stuff up on the screen and stuff like that as TJ is. We'll just sit there and just kind of talk about what's going on.
Well, okay. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
JP says Vancouver, Nashville is the exact.
X, I'm gonna get real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm gonna give you a piece of advice, X. If you're gonna do a show on Thursday, it can't be your head stared, glued up, watching TV. Is
the draft's gonna be going on. I gotta watch it.
Fuck. Here's the comment, Grumpy. I'll
JP
put it up for
says,
you.
I just don't understand why the two of you have to argue about the next show that we do on live air. It just makes no sense.
TJ's a scrub.
JP says Vancouver and Nashville is the exact opposite. What a slow game.
Yep.
And Goon says, after that flubbed call, did smoke come out of Tortorella's ears? How long until the anger disappears? Here's the thing. I think he knew the Flyers were. Here's the thing. The Flyers would have lasted just as long as the Islanders and the Capitals get knocked off in the first round. He knows they weren't good enough.
When you lose like 10 games in a row, you don't deserve to make the postseason. That's simple. They collapsed this year. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they did. And the Dixie Way, Grumpy.
I agree with those whack writers will put Pete in the Hall of Fame when he passes. And I think a family member, for acceptance speech, I would give him the middle finger.
There it is.
He wants to be in the Hall of Fame.
He absolutely does.
I would want to be recognized for being one of the best players in the history of the sport. That would make sense, but he's not.
Derek Rose says, TJ, believe you forgot Arsenal beat treble defending Man City in the Community Shield final this year. Love the fact you forgot that game exists. Must be because your boy Holland didn't do shit again. And I do want to say one thing, that Real Madrid did take the game plan that Arsenal used to beat Man City or to draw with them. However, I think they won in penalties. And that's what they used in the Champions League quarterfinals to knock them out this year. So credit to Arsenal and to their coach, who I think is very good too.
Arteta, sure. Now, here's the thing. Community Shield. Yes, correct. I forgot that was even a trophy. That is correct. It's so meaningless. But, hey, congratulations. Round of applause. Drew says here, Gruden got screwed over, but he wasn't a good coach during his stints at Vegas. His scheme was outdated, and Josh Jacobs looked like shit when he was playing for him. Yeah, again, just I think the way that he was fired is just one of those where it's like, okay, he was the guy, the scapegoat. My little brownie Grumpy.
TJ, has baby Liza crimped your workout routine? Haven't seen a headband in months.
Oh, I've got a headband around here somewhere. Here you go.
Why don't you just put the tie around it? I mean, you don't need it to hold any.
Oh, hair back.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. He's got a scalp band.
Oh, my goodness gracious. It's the worst thing I've seen in a long, long time.
You call me Drew Timmy, baby. We're going to go ahead and take Gonzaga to win the national
Timmy had
championship.
hair, dude.
All right. That's it. We're going to wrap it now.
Yep.
TJ, what do you want to say? Nothing?
He's putting his headphones on and grabbing his mic.
Grumpy and X, you guys sign off first. What is this, Grumpy? You pretend like you never signed off on a show before. Grumpy, what do you want to say before we wrap things up, buddy?
I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't. From TJ, the grumpy old man, and Son X.
And Son X, what do you want to say before we wrap things up here?
I want to thank everybody for coming out and listening. As always, love the interaction in the comments, and we will see you guys next time.
And that's Thursday, right, X? We're going to do Thursday?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Look at him. He's already waffling.
No, I said I'll let you know.
It's a freaking NFL draft.
Feeling. It depends on how I'm feeling.
Now it's going to be a game. It's going to be a game time decision, Grumpy. Game decision for Max. Look at this shit.
Yeah, Grump, it's going to be game time decision.
God Almighty! Look at him.
And TJ, with your microphone there, what do you want to say? Anything?
Thanks everybody for coming out, watching the show here, talking and interacting as always. Always enjoy getting to shoot the shit, talk some sports. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. I'll definitely be here Sunday, maybe Thursday for a guest. I don't know. Who knows? Thanks so much, Grumpy and X. We'll see you guys Sunday.
My pleasure.
Peace.